Welcome to DAX Machina. Join us as we explore the mysteries of this world. Cryptids, monsters, macabre tales, and horror stories abound. Could they be true? Are monsters real?
Good evening, folks. Thank you for joining us for another edition of DAX Machina, our 201st episode. So we are in the 200s now, heading for 300. Nothing slowing us down now. Joining me tonight is my brother from another mother from South Crackalaki. Robbie Rip Rains is in the house. Robbie, how the hell you doing, brother?
Doing pretty good. I can't do Doc's line. I know Steve does it when he's up, but that's Steve. He's OG. I can't do Doc's line. That's just. So I can't say it.
We'll save it for Doc.
In respect to the little man.
And Northwoods is on the scoreboard off and early. So before we jump in, I want to tell everybody we had a pretty nasty health scare with Robbie over the weekend, and I'll let Robbie tell you about it. But we were pretty freaking worried about it. Me and Doc both.
Wasn't over the weekend. It was Monday.
Yeah, Monday.
Yeah, never been allergic to anything in my life. I had a toothache all weekend, which is kind of why I wasn't myself on the show Saturday. So Monday, I'd already called my sergeant and told him that I wasn't going to be there Monday, and went to the dentist. She, of course, had to get a tooth pulled, but now they can't pull a tooth at the dentist, so they had to refer me to an oral surgeon to get a tooth pulled, which makes no sense. I don't know what a dentist does now, but anyway, said, "Are you allergic to anything?" I said, "No." So she gave me a prescription for 500 milligrams of amoxicillin. Went to Publix to their pharmacy to get it filled, which is, I want to say, about 10 miles from my house.
I think so. 10 miles.
Get out in the parking lot, pop it open, take the pill, get about a mile down the road. I start feeling kind of weird. Felt like I had a gas bubble in my chest. Vision kind of feels like it's closing in on me. My skin starts feeling hot. I look down right here on my arm, and it's just like I see this little red spot coming up. I look on my other arm, see the same thing. The back of my neck starts getting hot. I feel like I'm almost like I'm having a heat rash. Yeah, it's pretty scary. I'm still pretty good ways from home, so my ignorant butt don't pull over and stop. I just kept driving to get myself home. Finally make it home. Get in the house, call my one of my lieutenants. His wife's an RN, and he's out. He just had his hip replaced, so I figured she would be home with him at that time. So I called him and asked if she was home. He said, "Yeah, what's going on?" So I start telling him, and he screams for her over the phone. She comes to the phone. He starts telling what's going on. She's like, "Yeah, he's having a bad, severe allergic reaction. Tell me he needs to get some Benadryl fast." So I had to go to my mom and dad to get some Benadryl to stave off that allergic reaction. So never been allergic to anything ever in my life, and all of a sudden I'm allergic to amoxicillin now, apparently.
Well, at least you got to some Benadryl quickly. So they had to switch you to a different antibiotic.
Yeah, finally I got switched to a different one.
How you feeling now? You all right?
Oh, I'm fine now. It don't much scare me. Like I was telling you in the pre-show, it don't much scare me, but I was starting to get concerned by the time I got out of the truck when I got to the house.
That would have had me a little worried too. I can't say that I blame you there. I would have certainly been a little worried on that. Folks, also, Doc isn't here tonight. He's packing orders for Dark Angel Medical. One of his guys is on vacation, so he's running behind. Doc's wanted me to let everybody know he wanted to be here with y'all tonight, but he's busier than a one-legged man in a butt-kicking contest at the shop. So he's gonna be working late to try to get orders processed and out to everybody. But I don't know. Who knows? He might pop in a little late. Depends on how busy he is.
Tell Griff that's already happened.
Yeah, it already has.
Yeah, already happened.
And also, keep Toombs and Nimza in you guys' thoughts and prayers tonight. They have a medical issue. I'm not going to say what it is. It's not really my place. But they won't be in the audience tonight. They're dealing with a medical problem, and we just kind of keep them in your prayers. And hopefully they'll be back with us soon. And prayers for a speedy recovery. Folks, we got a great show for you guys tonight. But before we get started, I wanted to give a shout out to somebody. Nona Boss says, I keep Benny Drill everywhere. It's probably a good idea. I probably ought to keep some on hand. I went and checked my P.O. box
I got some
yesterday. Yeah, I bet you do. I'd keep it in the damn truck. But I went and checked my P.O. box yesterday, and I had a package from Jim Search, who's been in the chat quite a bit. I'm sure you guys have seen him by Ibimir, IBYMRA. I don't know. I can't pronounce it. He's been in the chat quite a few times, and he's a big fan of the books, and I really appreciate it. I won't read the whole letter because it's got some names mentioned in it, but I really want to say thank you to him because he's a fellow law enforcement officer. He's been a cop for a lot of years, and he sent me a gift that I'm really just so amazed by, and I want to thank him so much. This is all done. It looks like it's either a sandblaster or like a laser engraver. He went to my old department's website and got our department logo and etched it into the glass. And this is a handmade box. It's got the thin blue line flag etched into both sides, and the top comes off of it. And included in it was a bottle of, let me turn that a little bit, Blue Line whiskey. And this is a distillery in Oregon, that's in Lebanon, Oregon, that's owned by 3 retired cops. And I have not cracked it open. I'm going to crack it open here in just a little bit, but I wanted to thank him for that awesome gift. This is going to go in a place of honor on my shelf, but I just wanted to show that it's so freaking cool. But I'm going to be cracking into that here shortly.
See, that DA gets whiskey, I get anaphylactic shock. I mean, yeah, go figure.
Anaphylaxis, whiskey,
Yes.
balanced.
And a butt you in my doc.
Cool design. Thank you, man. Kay Bowers says, make sure that I'm streaming here. Says, D and Robbie, just feeling good. Recently got a new job for armed security. Jumping through the hoops and acquiring equipment. Gonna need a Dark Angel Mini IFAC soon, I guess. Just had to toot a horn. Hell yeah! And I can tell you, man, I carried one of those on my duty belt for years. I still have the kit. In fact, it's going on my new camera bag that I bought because I bought a multi-tab camera bag for my new Canon DSLR. But it I got the house about my kits. I got one of the kits in the back of my car. It goes everywhere with us. But if I'm going any place where it looks like it might be, a little more spicy, I make sure I've got a trauma kit on my belt. At the very least, I've got the IFAC kit with a tourniquet. But yeah, Dark Angel kits. Yeah, if you're going to be working in law enforcement, especially in armed security, you're going to want something with a tourniquet. Roxanne Delgado says, DA, man, it's hot in Missouri. Tell me about it. Noah and I were grilling brats just a little bit ago out in the heat, and I feel sorry for him. He is wiped out. That poor kid. He was standing over the grill flipping the brats, and I was doing the heavy lifting. I was sitting in a lawn chair drinking a beer while he was grilling the brats. But it says it feels like it's 106 or something like that. The heat index feels like 106 or something like that. And standing over that grill, it probably had to be 120, 130. So that poor kid's all tuckered out, but he's still in the mod group. He's helping mod out with chat. Big special shout out to the mods. Thank you guys. I know you guys are stepping up your game tonight since Toom and Nimza couldn't be here, but thank you guys so much for everybody pinching in and pitching in and helping out. We got the best team of mods here. You guys are awesome. Yep. Northwood says, I'd rather deal with the heat than the freezing cold. Not me, man. There's only so many clothes I can take off by law. I can always add a layer, but nobody wants to see me in a Speedo. Like I said before, it looked like a Bartlett pear with a rubber band wrapped around it. Nobody wants to see that.
Oh, Harry, image again.
Yeah, Miss Naomi says stay away from Mississippi. Yeah, if you're the deep south has got to be barbecuing right now. Oh my God, we've got bad humidity around here, but it's you get down to Georgia and Alabama and Mississippi and Florida, anywhere near those swamps. Well, even some parts of like Louisiana, well, Louisiana and specifically, but parts of southern Arkansas, when you get down in the swamps, East Texas, all those swampy areas. Oh my God, the humidity will kill you.
And I was out in the shop today, and it was probably about 93 or 94 at 10 o'clock this morning. Yeah, I saw that one.
That's funny. Sorry, Conway. Oh, that's hilarious. I'm right there with you, man. Keith Van Rensselaer says, I'll take the heat over the smoke. The smoke that's coming down out of those Canadian fires is everywhere. It hit Chicago, like a week or so ago. It was hitting New York not too long ago. They had to postpone a Yankees game. And my oldest son was telling us today that it is now in downtown St. Louis. He said it was hazy looking because he lives just a few blocks from the Arch. He's got an apartment, one of the upper floor apartments, just like you can look out his window and see the Arch. You could, if you could go out on he doesn't have a balcony, but if he had a balcony, you could probably chuck a rock and hit the Arch. If you got a good arm, but he's really close to right there, the Laclede's Landing and everything. And he said the Arch was hazy and everything really bad today. Blondes Boo says it's awful here in the St. Louis area. It hasn't gotten this far south yet here, but I expect since it's hit, Chicago, then St. Louis, I'd say we're probably going to get it in a few days. Naomi says the city with the worst air quality in the U.S. today was Decatur, Illinois. Wow, it must have really been bad to be worse than an average day in L.A. Man, the chat is flying by. Trying to keep up with everybody. Everybody, I was trying to say hi as it went by, but the chat is flying by. So if I missed the chance to say hi to you, I apologize.
Just want to say hi right now.
Howdy, everybody. We're damn glad to have you guys with us. Henry White says Jeddah in Saudi Arabia was 140 degrees when I got off the plane, 35 degrees inside. I drank so much water, the heat was choking hot. Yeah, on days like this, especially, Miss Lene is out doing her evening chores later in the evening because it's cooler. I was texting her earlier, telling her make sure she drinks plenty of water as it is hot. She's worried about her animals in this heat. And I don't blame her. I would be too. Papa Bear's as good as be expected. I'm right there with you, man. Yep. Tonight we're going to be talking about an incident in 1931 happened here in Missouri. Oh, holy crap! We got a Doc sighting. Oh my God!
What's happening?
There he is. Doc, how the hell are you?
Well, Wyatt, I am rolling.
See, that's why I knew there was a reason I didn't say it, because I knew he was going to be here to do it.
Well, I just had supper. I just got in from the shop. It was 96 degrees in the shop. The air wasn't working. So, y'all ever had a Wednesday on? A Monday on a Wednesday.
Yep.
Yeah, I understand that.
We have literally had one sale all day long. I don't know what in the cat shit's going on, but yeah, and then some stuff didn't come in to get orders out. I had steak, eggs, and bourbon for supper. That's paleo, right?
That's right. Absolutely. That's a total keto diet right there.
Lord have mercy.
Doc, you can tell everybody now that you scolded me because I had to tell my story about Monday. So everybody's like, well, I can just hear Doc giving it to him now. I said, that already happened.
Oh, well. I knew seeing y'all would make my day go better because it's been a pretty shit day. So I know y'all would lighten my load and brighten my heart. So
We're certainly going to give it a shot.
I just said, screw it. I'm knocking off early, and I'm gonna get to see everybody.
I wanted to show you something. I showed it on the air already, but I'll show it to you, Doc, since I hadn't had a chance to show you. A fan of the show and of the books. Jim Search. Let me make sure. I don't want to misquote that. Jim. Too. He sent me this. Had etched in my old department logo in the glass, and then got the thin blue line flag on the side. Doc's got to get his specs on, and then inside it is wrong direction. Blue line whiskey. This is made by 3 retired cops. They opened a distillery in Lebanon, Oregon, which is funny because I was born in Lebanon, Missouri. But they distill this. I have not cracked it open yet, but you can find them on social media on this is them. Hideaway Distillery. They got several different types of whiskeys they distill.
That's just sharp, man. I like that.
I was thrilled to death.
That's a nice little present, man. Oh,
so I'm going to crack that open here in just shortly and give it a sample. Northwood says, sounds like Doc had a Scotch and cigars MRE tonight.
Oh Lord, I need one. No, what time is it right now? It's 9:17, so or 19:17. I've been outside since 8 o'clock this morning in the shop, so I'm a little bit wore out.
Marty, I've got a bottle of Bullet right over here.
I've probably got a couple in here somewhere. Yeah.
I oscillate back and forth. My 2 favorite bourbons at the moment have got either Knob Creek or Bullet.
Yeah, I got a bottle in here. So that was one of my Father's Day gifts, was a nice decanter. So I said, I'm gonna put it in. I mean, it fits Doc pretty good, I guess. So
there you go.
Oh,
didn't you say that you guys are heading back down to Tombstone next month?
Yeah, we're gonna head down there before my birthday. Angie's planning on coming home. She's gonna get expelled down there in Mississippi, and so we're gonna take us a little trip down to Tombstone and hang out. Angel's Envy is a good bourbon. I'll say that, Noah. That's for sure. But I still like my Bullet better, and Bullet 10 is really good. And Bullet Barrel Strength's even better.
I haven't had either of those, but I tell you, I do really enjoy a old fashioned made with Bullet.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. And what I had last time I was in Tombstone was an old fashioned made with Bullet Rye, and I'm gonna tell you, man, they did a smoked old fashioned there at the Oriental with Bullet Rye, and it was pretty fine. I ain't gonna lie. But yeah, we're gonna go down there and hang out and do some touristy stuff.
Do some tombstoning.
Yeah, go do it the weekend before my birthday because I'm gonna be pretty much gone the whole week of August. I mean, the whole month of August. So
if you go into the Oriental, make sure you go over and slap the Faro dealer.
Oh, I will.
You gonna do something, or you gonna stand there and bleed?
I wonder how often that poor guy gets slapped out of the blue.
You back that queen again, I'll blow you up that Wildcat's ass.
Jesus, like playing cards with my brother's kids.
You nerve-wracking sons of bitches.
I love that movie. It's so freaking quotable.
That is a great movie. See, I'm already in a better mood already, and the bourbon has nothing to do with it.
There you go, brother. We can, if anything else, we can at least make you laugh.
That's right. If I didn't laugh, I'd cry. So I'd rather laugh. Mercy.
John not. Josh said, DA, did you tell Doc about the Bullet whiskey pre-made cocktails? Bullet's got a whole line. It comes in like a size of a beer can, pre-made cocktails.
Well,
One of
kiss
them-
my ass. That might be something good to take on the road trip. Not for the road trip, but
yeah.
on when we get to our destination.
Walafa says Woodford Reserve is pretty good bourbon, and believe it or not, cheaper bourbon that's pretty good is Jim Beam Black. I'm not a Jim Beam or a Jack Daniels fan. To me, they're like the MRE of the bourbon world.
Yeah, I mean, I like Beam for mixing, but I will say this: the Beam Double Oak and the Beam Black, not expensive whiskeys, but exceptionally smooth for the price. So if you can't find a Bullet Trace a Buffalo Trace or a Bullet or something like that, I got a bottle of Jim Beam Black up there that's actually pretty tasty, man. But I like plain old. I drank plain old Beam when I was going through nursing school because I didn't have any excess money, but
I know what. Don't sugarcoat it. Tell us how you really feel.
Yeah, Noah's not holding back. Yeah, I mean, I would say this. I had a buddy of mine had a bottle of. I'm not a big Jack Daniels fan either. Like it's Jack and Coke, but he had a bottle of Jack Daniels Sinatra Select.
That sounds pretty good. I like.
I'm gonna tell you what. That was fine.
Well, you know the text that we had the other day where DA you started laughing. You said that's pure Jed. I'll give you a pure Jed story, and Doc, you'll laugh your ass off this one. Have y'all heard of the Biltmore House in North Carolina?
Yeah, Asheville, isn't it?
Yeah, Asheville, North Carolina. Okay,
Yeah, I've been there. Yeah,
I went to the Biltmore House with my ex-wife and a couple friend of ours, and what reminded me of this was Krista saying she's a wino in the chat. We went down to their wine tasting thing. Now picture this. I'm in I don't remember what kind of shirt I had on, but I had my Dale Jr. 88 hat on. And we go down there. We're sitting down at the nice fine wine tasting, and it's our two friends, and then my ex-wife, me, and this older couple. So the bartender, she's going around. She's asking what they want. So she starts down at the other end with my friend. He says what he wants. His wife says what she wants. My ex-wife says what she wants. And they get to me. I'm like, why don't you just start at the top and work your way down? And she stopped. And she was like, and I turned around and looked at there's a older couple beside me, and they were like, I'm like, what'd I say?
hold on a second.
My ex-wife's like, oh my God, I can't believe you just said that. I'm like, what? I don't know anything about wine. I just start at the top and work your way down. That's pure Jed, ain't it?
That's pure Jed right there.
Hey, he is who he is.
Kind of another pure Jedism is, remember that movie with Kiefer Sutherland and Woody Harrelson, The Cowboy Way? How would you like your steak? Oh, just knock its horns off, wipe its nasty old ass, and drag it out here. I'll eat what I want and ride the rest home.
Yep, I'm Pepper. Pepper.
Yeah, that's a pure Jedism right there.
I'm sorry, man. I missed half of that. I'm
you're all right, bud.
I'm babysitting my granddog. He is about the most nervous little dog. He's half beagle and half dachshund, and his mama ain't here. And I swear to God, he's been I need to give him like a puppy Xanax or something.
We just
get him some of those doggy, THC chews.
Shit, I need to. Come here, buddy. Come here, Chester.
We just drew two more parallels to me and you, Doc.
This is Chester. This is my grand dog. Y'all say hey to Chester. He's a nervous wreck.
He's a nervous Nelly.
He is. And now Ranger's coming over here. Hey, buddy.
Ranger's like, if you're petting him, you're petting me, dang it.
No. Yeah.
Chester's getting some love in the audience.
He is. So, do we have? Dude, you're
sorry.
Do we have any? Do we have a topic tonight, or are we just sitting there talking about booze?
Yes, we do. We're going to talk about an incident happened here in Missouri in 1931. I've mentioned the incident before, but I've not gone into a lot of detail on it. And it was one of those that it was a firsthand story I took from a fella, and he's passed away now. We've been looking for my original notes because I'd taken a lot of notes. But a lot of those notebooks in those days are just gone. I've moved many times since then. And there's a lot of stuff that I had back in those days that are just gone. But I sat down and did one of those where you write down things that you remember. And as the more I wrote down, the more things started kicking in my head, and I started creating more and more notes, and I remember more details. And so I came up with a lot more of the details that from the story, from what I previously discussed. But back in 1986, right after I'd first gotten my license, I had an old 74 Ford F100 with a 3-speed on the column. And that was back when gas was about 60 cents a gallon. And I would fill the tank, and I would drive back roads, and I would look for crazy crap. Because I've always, like I said, I've been into Bigfoot since I was a little kid. And I would drive back roads hoping to see one, or if I saw somebody sitting out on the porch. My dad said, he was surprised I didn't go into politics because I didn't know a stranger. I would stop and talk to anybody. And I did. And in the Cleve County, it's pretty easy because I'm related to half of them one way or the other. But I would stop, and talk to people sitting on their porch and ask them if they had anything weird happen. And then I mentioned this once before, but there's a little town in Missouri called Sleeper, and it ain't much of a town. It's a little bigger now than it once was, but back in the 80s, it wasn't nothing but a wide spot in the road with a railroad crossing. And there was this old country store there, and I would occasionally run in there and buy soda pop and then go back to driving gravel roads. Well, one day I saw these two old fellers sitting out on the porch, and they were probably pushing 80 then. This was in 86. And I asked them if either of them knew anything about Bigfoot, or if they heard any stories. And he goes, well, I don't know about Bigfoot, but I know what an Ozarks booger is. And I described Bigfoot. He goes, well, that sounds like pretty much the same damn thing. I said, well, you have any stories about it? He said, son, you buy us one of them soda pops and we'll tell you everything we know. And I did, and never a better investment have I ever made. I went in, and this was back when you could get a 16-ounce glass bottle of soda for less than $1. So I went in and bought those little fellas a couple of Cokes, and I sat down on the front porch of that little general store and listened to them talk. And one of them fellas, and I won't say the name because I don't have permission. He told me a story that happened to him and his brothers in 1931, and it's a pretty hair-raising story. This 1931, the Great Depression was in full swing. That was back in the days. My dad was a young man then. Dad was born in 1924, and he left school in 8th grade and went to work in what they called the CC camps, or the Civilian Conservation Corps. And he went clear out to Oregon to fight forest fires and sent the money back to his family. And back then they had a little farm out near Orla, Missouri. And Orla's a ghost town now. There's nothing there but the ruins of the old mill and a couple of farms. There's nothing left of the town. And it wasn't much to speak of when it was a town. But that's where they lived at the time.
Lots. And, sorry.
In Orla's, oh, you're fine, Doc. And Orla is about as far from civilization as you can get. I mean, it is out in the bumpkin nowhere. But these two gentlemen were more than happy to tell me the story. And the one of them, and I'll call them the Cooper brothers. Well, it's not their real last name, so you probably won't be able to run them down by. Well, of course, I'll guarantee he's passed away because, like I said, he was probably pushing 80 in 1986. So I doubt he's a 130-year-old guy still sitting out there because I know they tore that old store down. But he tells me this story, and I said that him and his brothers during the height of the Great Depression decided that because money was tight, money was very tight and scarce, they started cutting wood and selling wood on the side to help feed their family. And him and his brothers did it. He said it wasn't long before they'd pretty much cleared out all the good, usable wood, wood cutting timber on their own land. He said it didn't take long. They only owned about 30 acres. And so they started looking around, and they found a place between Sleeper and Montreal, Missouri. And it's off a gravel road, and I have not been able to locate the exact spot, but I think I'm pretty close. I think I've narrowed it down to a few square miles. But I know the general area, and it's still thickly wooded. But anyway, they bought a stand of timber, said they bought 100 acres, and back then you could buy land pretty damn cheap. So they took their truck, and they had the great idea they were gonna set up one of those belt-fed sawmills where they could just cut the wood into boards and take it in and sell it to one of the local wood lumber yards. And again, that would improve the income for their family. It was one of the things. They had the resources, and this is back in the days before chainsaws, is when folks did everything with either hand saws or axes. So they went out to this section of land they bought. They cut a road back into it, took their truck way back in these woods, and set up a camp. They built semi-permanent shelters, wooden lean-tos, set up the staging area where they were going to cut and stack and everything, and then they would start hauling out all the wood on these old trucks. And so they went out there. He said the first week they went out there, all they really did was set up the camp. He said they really didn't get a bad feeling about the place, other than the woods were really quiet at night. He said, which they thought was odd, but there was 4 of them, and he said he was the youngest. He was about 18 at the time, and the 4 of them weren't afraid of man or beast. They'd hunted everything in the Ozarks you could hunt, and they weren't afraid of nothing. But they said that the woods were just a little weird. So they went back. Once they got the camp established, they went back into town and bought the equipment they were going to need. The extra saws. They bought the belt-fed buzz saw where they could run the they were going to run the saw off the back wheel of the truck. And so they'd be able to cut it up into boards, stack it up, and then haul it out once they had enough to take into town as a full load. So they go back out there with all the equipment. They set everything up. And when they first arrived back at their camp, he said they assumed it was someone had smashed all their lean-tos. He says, which pissed them off because, who the hell's on their land in the first place? And he said, how did they even find it way out there in the middle of nowhere? He says, so they grumbled about it, but they set everything back up and put everything back the way it was, and then went to cutting wood. He said, first night, they thought somebody was messing with them, thought somebody was throwing rocks at them. He said heard rocks like hitting near the fire and hitting the lean-tos and everything. He said, and they grabbed their lanterns and their rifles and go look, and they never found anybody. He said this went on for 3 or 4 nights, and they were starting to get a pretty good pile of wood piled up for sale. He said, I think it was on the 4th night. He said it was. All hell broke loose. It was right after they turned in for the night. He said, what in the light of the fire, they could see several what they described as huge, very muscular Missouri wood boogers, which were basically the same description as a Bigfoot, covered in hair, massively built, and aggressive as hell. So they came in, were smashing everything. They were flipping over their equipment, and pretty much just raising hell in the camp. He said they fired in the air a few times because they knew they didn't have anything bigger than squirrel guns that was going to do much more than piss these things off. But they fired in the air, and they would back off, and then they'd come charging back in. He says they were getting rocks thrown at them. They were getting wood thrown at them. He says, and a couple of times they came damn close to getting grabbed. He said, so they basically just abandoned all of that. They jumped in the truck, fired it up, and took off. And they left everything behind. All the axes, the saws, their bedding, the food they'd brought out, the lanterns, everything. They left everything behind but the guns in their hands and the clothes on their back. And they never went back. Now, if this guy, like I said, this guy was probably pushing 80 when he told me the story. And I could see his hand shaking when he was telling me the story. He was just reliving that story. It was terrifying. But in 1931, to leave that much equipment behind is unheard of. Those boys had to have been terrified. That was a substantial investment, especially when people were just basically subsistence living.
That's like Ape Canyon. Remember, they left all their stuff there too.
Yeah,
same thing.
Well, I mean, didn't Fred and his uncle and his nephew leave all their mess up in Alaska too?
Yep.
I mean, they got out there with a skin on their back, and then, I mean, he even left a
new shotgun, and they've been back to the hunting cabin.
Yeah, brand new shotgun. So, yeah, I mean, I guess priorities. The priorities kind of take hold of you whenever something like that happens. And
good old fashioned ass saving fear.
Yeah, exactly. There's something to be said about that. Self-preservation is a hell of a thing, you know?
Yeah. Well, you ain't screw that. I can buy another axe.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, when he was telling me this story at the time, I hadn't heard anything about like the kind of sounds they made. I don't only Bigfoot information I had were some of the Time Life books and those old In Search Of, and even some of the Unsolved Mysteries episodes, where basically they just showed recaps of the Patterson Gimlin film, and they'd talk to the occasional eyewitness. You didn't hear anything about whoops or anything like that, or rock throwing or tree peeking. And during the way he was describing this to me, during their encounters when they started seeing these things, would later just absolutely click in my head when I started learning about tree peeking and wood knocking and the way the rocks were thrown. He said because the rocks would come and zipping in like somebody was throwing them overhand. He said it was like they'd been chucked into the air and they were coming in on a high arc. Now,
the Sierra Towns didn't really come out till what?
72.
Yeah, they wasn't really mainstream. I mean, they'd come out already, but they weren't mainstream. And obviously that was, pre-internet. So it wasn't like everybody knew about it like they do nowadays. So it was out, but you hadn't heard about it at that time because there was no internet for you to. So all those sounds that were probably the same things that they had heard,
Mm-hmm.
If you could have played that sound for them over the internet like now, they would have probably said, hey, yeah, that was it.
Yeah, I wish that I would have had those resources back then. I talked to Dr. Meldrum, and he said that every time when they were up at Snell Grove, the rocks didn't just come zipping in like somebody chucked them like a baseball. He said they were lobbed; they would come in at an arc. He said, he says, I have an explanation for that. He said the way their hand morphology is set up is more similar to a gorilla than to ours. So the thumb is placed farther back. They don't grip stuff like we do and chuck it. They have to grab it and lob it. He said they don't do overhand throws. Their musculature is all wrong. So they described these things, the rocks coming in on an arc. They described hearing wood getting cracked against wood. How they explained it. From out in the woods, they heard grunts. They heard whoop sounds. He said they didn't know what it was. He said it wasn't no sound of any animal they'd ever heard in Missouri. Tree peeing. I've done a few of that. I'll ask Steve about that. That's how we attract dogmen, apparently. With the Winces, I have a theory that the U.S. government actively suppressed and hunted Sasquatch in the same time period of Indian Wars 1800s to the mid-1900s. Sasquatch populations have been slowly rebounding since the 50s. I think that there was an active, pacification attempt made on cryptid populations because we know there were cryptid encounters from Lewis and Clark. There were most of the expeditions that went west encountered something, and a lot of that stuff is still heavily redacted or not even talked about. But sorry, I just lost my train of thought. It's funny, the ad for Dark Frontiers just popped up. But that was the whole premise behind my Dark Frontiers. They were, 1865, the Civil War was ending, the westward push was beginning hard, and these were the guys that were pushing back. And to me, it makes just absolute logical sense that like what they were saying, that the government actively tried to suppress these populations. And then when we look at what Teddy Roosevelt did, the creation of the National Park Service, to create areas that kept us away from them. Yeah. What do you boys think?
I think that, there's a lot of similarity to that story and the Ape Canyon story about they were in there kind of in a place they weren't supposed to be, as far as, that was area that hadn't been stepped by human foot, if you want to look at it that way, which was probably their territory. And the same exact thing, a few things here and there happened. They didn't take the hint, so things escalated, and it escalated to a point where, oh crap, let's get the hell out of here. And they ended up leaving everything and beating feet.
Yeah. No, I Yeah, I agree, brother. That's what I was going to say. I mean, we know from past guests and things like that these things are can be territorial depending on their attitude towards outsiders, their demeanor, as it were, and if not many people had come back in there, then you're the outlander. You know what I mean? And they're going to be
in their territory.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, hey, y'all need to get further from here, and we're going to do what it takes to get you out of here, short of ripping you from limb to limb.
Yeah.
So honestly, I think they probably got off easy, man, compared to what could have happened to them.
And
I'm gonna go back to study in that area around Montreal with Google Maps, and I'm gonna look and see if I can find any of the terrain markings that he described. If I can figure out, and I don't want to talk about where they are because I don't want someone finding it first and beating me there. I want to see if I can find that, and if it's not listed, no trespassing or private property, then I'll see about finding a way to get back in there, or if I figure out who owns it. I want to say that's probably Camden County. I'll have to ask who owns that section of land over at the county assessor's office in Camden County. And if I can find out who owns that section of land, see if I can get permission to go back in there. But I want to see if I can find that camp. He said because they left it, didn't grab a thing. So even though it's been 1931, even that's been 90 years, 92 years ago, there should be something left behind. There should be some rusted remains of old equipment. There might be axe heads. God knows what's still behind. And they had left stacks of cut boards. So there, we might see remnants of these boards.
Yeah. Well, and like I was about to say, not getting into whether his stuff is legitimate or not, but look at the stuff that Todd Standing says about how he has pushed that boundary of going into places where he says he knows, hey, this is their territory. I'm going past what I know is a territorial marker. And every time he says he goes past that, he has stuff like that happen. Rocks get thrown at. I mean, some of those videos that he puts out, like I said, I'm not saying whether they're true or not, but some of those videos, he felt like he was lucky to get out.
Another detail I just remembered when they came back to start cutting, he mentioned that there were at least 2 trees that had been pushed down across the road they made. They had to cut the trees out of the way to get back to their camp.
Wow. Holy crap, man.
I said, "Well," I said, "I bet you're glad they weren't pushed down while you're already back there." He said, "Yeah, we probably wouldn't have made it out of there."
Man.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
I wish I'd have had the presence of mind back then to have carried a little tape recorder and recorded that conversation, because there's literally no way for me to find that guy's family. I don't even remember what his real name was. Last name. I remember his first name, but like I said, we'll just call them the Cooper brothers because it was him and his brothers. But Cooper wasn't their last name. But if I could find that place, I think, because I know there's still sightings around Lake of the Ozarks and around the Montreal area. That's a pretty woolly area when it comes to thick woods. And if I can find that and maybe backpack in there, he said, because it wasn't like super far, but it was off a gravel road. So that whole area is littered with gravel roads. So finding the right one might be a little tricky.
Naomi, that's a sphincter winker.
Yeah,
but the details, like Robbie was saying, the details are eerily similar to like the Ape Canyon story, and to other stories of people that have been basically run out of areas. But then this was in post Patterson Gimlin era when I first heard this story. But in 1931, no one had ever heard the term Bigfoot. The term Bigfoot wasn't coined until that newspaper article was written about what was going on with Jerry Cruz. Was that in 57 or 58, Robbie?
I want to say 57, but it may have been closer to it was like right there between.
I know it was in the late 50s.
Yeah, it was 57, but it may have been like on into 58, but it was like right there, like maybe December of 57 on into January '58, but it was right there around that time. And that's like you said, that's where that they took the story to that newspaper, and he said, "Wow, what do you think about this?" Well, that's a Bigfoot, and he put that in the story, and that's where that term came from.
Ed Brown's got a good point. He says, "Yep, there's a difference between a tree blocking your way in and out. If they block it as you're already on the dinner menu, yeah, that could have been a bad day. If they had pushed trees over and kept them from being able to get away, that could have, it could have ended very, very differently. It might have just, I'd have never met the guy sitting on that front porch." Karen Polton says, "I'm amazed he was willing to talk. Must not have cared anymore what anyone thought." That's basically what he said. He was at an age he didn't give a damn what anybody thought anymore. And he says people either believe him or not, but he knows what happened. And his brothers went to their graves without talking about it. Like I said, he was the youngest of the four brothers.
Yeah, and it's like we talked about before. My great grandmother used to tell me, "Don't go out in the woods and boogers will get you." They didn't have the term Bigfoot until later in so a lot of these stories that just like this one, what would you say, the Missouri wood boogers or the Ozark wood boogers or whatever they called them. I mean, it's like Christy just said, that they called them that in Tennessee. It was everywhere, because in South Carolina, I know that's what my great grandparents called them.
I remember growing up on the farm as a kid. My grandparents and my parents both would say, "You'll be back up here in the yard and get in the house by the time it gets dark, and the boogers will get you."
Yep.
Yeah, that's what my grandma used to call them, was the wood boogers.
Well, I've heard Cam read several stories on his show where people said that, great grandparents were talking, "Don't go down that holler because the boogers are down there."
Well, when talking about not going down that holler, Robbie, when you had your encounter, your grandfather brought the cattle up from the back pasture at night. Mm-hmm. To me, I don't think he was worried about a black bear getting his cattle.
No. I mean, for a black bear to mess, well, maybe one of the milk cows, but he had a couple of bulls that that they weren't. There wasn't a black bear was gonna mess with them bulls, But I think there was probably something down there that he was worried about messing with them.
I had a couple people mention the term catamount. I've heard that term used by some of the old timers as well.
I've heard it too, but I don't know exactly what it.
I had never heard that term.
And what do they call it? A wampus cat, but that's a different critter, I think.
That's a Cherokee legend. That's
a panther. Well, we had wampus cats. My aunt B talked about wampus cats, and we saw the tracks. Those big old panthers.
But where the actual wampus cat came from was a Cherokee legend. There's actually a story about that, and it was about it was something that had like 6 legs, and it actually killed a bunch of braves from this tribe, and supposedly it was one of those things, no man can kill this. So one of the women that her husband had been killed had one of the medicine men make her a mask that was supposed to protect her, and she went out and actually killed it. So that's where the wampus cat actually came from, was the Cherokee legend. But it's one of those things that people just kind of picked up on it, and they, panthers and mountain lions and things like that, people just called them that, but it actually started from the Cherokee legend. We actually did a show on that one.
My father-in-law, he passed away a few years ago, but I remember him and I were talking one night, and he told me about a wampus cat incident when he was a young man. Said him and some of his friends were down along one of the rivers here, and I think he said it was the James River, which is not far from where their farm used to be. He said they heard a wampus cat one night. He said they hightailed it out of there. I said, "Well, was it a mountain lion?" He goes, "No, this was what they call a wampus cat." And he said it was absolutely terrifying. Griff says, "I've always heard catamount as referring to cats, cougars, and lynx and the like." I wasn't 100% sure on the usage of catamount. But some of these old timers, they'll use these terms interchangeably too. For anything they don't know what it is, it's a booger, it's a catamount, it's a this or that.
Well, I think there's a college team that use one of their mascots is a catamount. I can't remember which one it is, but if I'm not mistaken, and it may be like like Mountain West or Sun Belt or something like that. It may not be one of the Power 5 schools, but it seems like I remember something's got a catamount for their mascot.
Catherine Elaine says, my great grandmother was full blood Cherokee. She always warned us about the Wampus cat and Rawhead and Bloody Bones. Rawhead and Bloody Bones is another good story, but that's for a different time. I'll need to get Miss Naoma back on for that, because last time we did talked about Rawhead and Bloody Bones. Miss Naoma was part of the group then, and I'll have to have her back on when we talk about it again, because she's really well versed in the lore on that. So I would definitely want her to be part of that. Miss Naoma says University of Vermont.
Nope, I knew there was one.
Dad Brown says the Portland Trailblazers use a Bigfoot as a mascot. Nighthawk says Woolly Booger, Woodburger. I've heard Woolly Booger as a kid too.
Yep.
My grandma West used to say Woolly Booger.
Yeah.
Miss Naoma says, and I'd love to come back on for it. Well, let's plan on doing that here in the near future then. One thing I need to remind everybody, we're gonna miss a few shows. My 30th anniversary is July 10th. We will have a show on July 8th, because that's the Saturday before my anniversary, and we'll have one on the 12th. No, we may not have one on the 12th because that's Noah's birthday. Okay, so July 8th may be our last show for a couple of weeks. July 12th is Noah's birthday. We're going out of town. We're heading for Gatlinburg, Tennessee. We're going to be staying in a cabin up in the mountains. We'll be going from the 14th to the 23rd. So we may be missing a few shows in there. But on the 22nd, I will be at the Gatlinburg Bigfoot Festival. I'm not there as a guest. I'm not there with a table. I'm just going to be there walking around. I'm going to just have a general admission badge like everybody else. But I do plan on throwing some books in the back of the car if anybody is there and wants one. So just hit me up if you see me, and I'll probably have some of the Wild Hunt patches with me as well.
And so have me with him. I'll be walking around with him too.
Yeah, Robbie be there. So it looks like from after the 8th of July, there probably won't be a show for 2 weeks. So sorry about that, folks. However, if the internet is really good at the cabin and we get bored, I might pop on and do a short live from the cabin. But like I said, the internet would have to be really good, because last time we stayed in the cabin, the internet was Pony Express at best.
That's that dock internet.
Yeah, that's right.
Fact.
Oh, Roger Davis says, DA, a great guest would be Bigfooting with Gary out of Ontario, Canada. Teaches biology and ecology at a college and hunts all manner of Bigfoot, UFOs, and paranormal. I will check that out. I'll have to check him out. That would be awesome. Thanks for the happy anniversary, Meg. I was going to highlight an account and can't see it. Oh, there it is. It popped up on me. Blondes and Booze says, woohoo, DA, going to be great time in Gatlinburg. There's going to be a bunch of us there. The girls from Blondes and Booze are going to be there. Robbie's going to be there. Cam Buckner is supposed to be there. He's not going to have a table or anything, but he's going to be there, as last I knew. And hopefully Miss Naoma will be there.
Yep. Nona Boss is going to be there.
Nona Boss will be there. Growing old with purposes, 30 years. Wow, happy anniversary. Yeah, when something finally does happen to her, she'll be immediately canonized by the Catholic Church for put in for sainthood, for putting up with me for 30 years. William Nighthawk says, don't forget tomorrow night, Blondes and Booze has a spectacular, stupendous guest. So, yeah, William Nighthawk will be on Blondes and Booze tomorrow night, folks. I could be there. You have no idea how much I wish I could be there, but we will still be in moving mode then. Well, I'm sorry. That was unfortunate. Hopefully, we'll meet up again at another one then.
Yeah, I wish I could be there with y'all too, man. I'm going to be Here.
Spy in the Sky says, remember to pay to park or get your vehicle towed. Well, on the night the day of the actual Gatlinburg event, we're staying at a hotel that's like real close, so we're not even going to drive over there. We're just going to walk. Paul Webb says DA can do a reading of a short story. I might do that tonight, or who knows? We might do something like that if we're at the convention. Roger Davis's would have been my 48th anniversary yesterday. I'm sorry for your loss, man, but congratulations, 48 years. That's a hell of an accomplishment, but I apologize. I'm sorry for your loss, man. Meg says, Noah, is there a link for the event in Gatlinburg? I will see if I can find it real quick. Let me give me just a second. I don't think Noah knows what to look for. Give me just a second. Here we go, folks. This is for the Gatlinburg Bigfoot Festival. That'll be on the 22nd of July. That's a Saturday. I just posted the link. Hellblunts beat me to it.
Well, we lost Robbie. What the hell?
Robbie's probably having some technical difficulties again. His system does not seem to want to work well with this streaming service. But we're gonna have to figure it out because I've already paid for this service for a year. So we're gonna make it work somehow. There he is.
Yeah, his internet does not like this. Does not like this platform.
It's not my internet. It's just audio. I don't know what it is. Every single show, isn't it, DA?
Yeah, it does it at least once a show. Ugh.
That's funny, Penny. Making a So I Married an Axe Murder reference. We've a Robbie down. I repeat, we've a Robbie down.
He's got a paper down.
Jesus, Joseph and the bride. What are you doing?
Got to cry himself to sleep on his huge fucking pillow.
Huge pillow.
Head. Move.
It's like an orange in a tooth pack.
I forgot about how good that movie was.
That is a good movie. I need to watch that again. I love the bit where he's out there doing karaoke to Rod Stewart's "If You Want My Body" with that. If you want my body. So funny.
Yeah, first when I got off the plane in Scotland, first time I went over there, I was like, "Let's get past." Oh, dang, Penny, that's close to my family's home. One of her friends grew up in Inverness. My family is all from Dingwall. Shut up, Robbie.
I didn't say that, Doc.
I knew what you was thinking, dang it.
Dang it, Doc.
You can see the furrowed brow and the intensity of him thinking.
You shut up, Noah. You shut your filthy mouth.
Doc, we need to go to Scotland together. Can you imagine how much of a hoot that would be?
We would be in jail. There would be an international incident.
I'm sure. But it'd be totally worth it.
Holy crap. Yeah, it would be. Just think of the stories.
Mike A says, I was out in Gatlinburg a couple weeks ago. I saw a ton of Sasquatch signage on the restaurants and gift shops. I think it's going to be a good time. We're going to be in Gatlinburg for, I think it's 9 or 11 days. I'd have to ask Annette exactly how many. But yeah, we're the first week we're going to be in the cabin, and then we're staying in a hotel. We were going to be coming back like on the 21st, the day before the convention. And when I found out the convention was literally right then, I was talking to Robbie. I'm like, oh crap! So I got after Annette, and she's like, okay, we'll extend by a couple of days. So we're going to stay through the 23rd now. Cody Hamilton says, DA, what's the next book you're working on? I'm about 55,000 words into the next Dark Frontiers. Really getting to pushing into the big final push for the action in it. I already know how it's going to end. I know how the story's going to be. there's going to be some more historical faces in this book. You guys are going to recognize some of these names from history, but I hopefully I'll have that done real soon. It's been one of those. I've been taking a little longer on it than I'd originally planned, but it's starting to come along. We're starting to flow pretty well now. I need to get the most recent update out to my my alpha readers. I was going to send that out last night. Totally forgot about it. But hopefully we'll have that out real soon. Miss Neoma says, Carrie Davis, at the very least, you'd miss me if you were shooting at me. But back to the original topic. That is a wild and woolly area down there by Montreal, Missouri, and I want to see if I can find that exact spot. I mean, if not, I want to at least get close, because I guarantee that there is still so sparsely populated that there's probably still a great deal of activity going on, and it is close to a major water source. Lake of the Ozarks is not far from there.
Night, William.
Good night, William.
Have a good night, brother.
I don't blame you, man. I may see if the wife wants to go out and do a fire in a fire pit after the show tonight. I haven't done that in a while.
Yeah, I could probably build a fire out here easy. Ain't no worry of a fire. As wet as it is, we got freaking mosquitoes out here now.
Yeah, that's true. I was just telling Noah earlier. I was thinking about building some bat houses in the backyard. Miss Neoma says, my best friend just bought a house at Lake of the Ozarks. What part of the lake? Because there are some parts that have a bit more activity than the others. But if you get down close to Bagnell Dam, because that area is like one of the most heavily populated area of the lake. I don't get many reports out of there, but anything in Camden County, a lot of stuff in Camden County now near Lynn Creek, Missouri, down by the Niagara branch where the Niagara River flows into the Lake of the Ozarks. A lot of activity in that area. Denise CO says, hey guys, hope you all have a good time off. I'll be at Bigfoot Days in Willow Creek, California, July 8th. Happy birthday and anniversary. Damn amazing. You guys always bring a smile. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you so much. Take pictures at the Willow Creek thing. We'd love to see them. I thought Doc froze up. He was so motionless. I thought he'd froze up there. I'm like, wait a minute, I think we lost Doc.
He has mastered the art of standing so still that he disappears. Hi, Drax. Damn it.
I can see you,
I'm still here.
Now, I was going to say something. I completely lost my train of thought. Penny Van says, when do you say dunderhead in Scottish accent for me?
I know it's a dunderhead. It's a dunderhead.
Dunderhead.
Dunderhead. Means you're stupid. What are you, Doc?
Roger Davis says, all my kinfolk called them boogers or woolly burgers.
Yeah.
Mogion's here. Mogion Monster. Hey, man. Ain't seen you in a hot minute.
Hey.
Roxanne Delgado says, do you know about the Bigfoot sighted in Southwest City, Missouri in 2010? I'm not sure if I know where that's at. If you know more about that, shoot me the information on it, because if that's not too far from me, I might go take a drive and see if I can find somebody that might be able to give me some more firsthand info. Jorgamunder says, oi, your heat's out with the windy.
Hold your wish, you dunderhead. That's Scottish for shut your mouth, dummy.
Penny Van says, oh my God, finally some Americans that know something about the motherland. My family are mostly Scots.
Yeah, same. Can you
can Can you differentiate, Doc? Can you differentiate between English, Scottish, and Australian?
As far as an accent,
Accent.
yeah. It depends on what English accent you're looking for, Governor. You've got a thick Cockney accent, or you've got the proper London accent. Or if you're from Australia, hey, come on down, mate. What you reckon? Let's go get some dimmies. What you reckon? I have a friend who's got a house in Sydney and Adelaide. So there you go. And then I speak redneck fluently.
I'm absolutely fluent in
Now you
redneck.
speaking my language.
And then, if you got a Dublin, it's almost like they're asking everybody a question. When they're talking to you, they're talking like this.
Got that little, and how you doing, fella?
It's a wee bit of Irish brogue, a wee lilt. Yeah.
And don't even get me started on the people from Glasgow. That's like they're speaking a whole other language. Even people from other parts of Scotland are like, yeah, I don't know what the hell they just said.
But they got gravel back here, man. I swear.
Gargling gravel and broken bottles.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Reincarnation coming back as a hillbilly.
Reincarnation. I like that. Speaking of hillbillies, those old dudes you talk to, I got a question. I'm not trying to put us back on the topic, but I am by default. Did they ever say anything about any kind of smells, or did the night sound stop, or was he just talking about that?
They said that when they first got into first started making the camp, they noticed that it was always quiet at night. They said one of the eeriest parts about it is at night there were not the normal night sounds they were used to around their farm. He said at night it was always quiet.
So they must have been heavily populated then.
Oh yeah, they must have marched right into their living room.
Wow, that's really cool, man. That's really cool.
But as for smells, I don't remember if they said anything about smells or not. Like I said, I wish I could have found my original notebooks. So I used to carry around those Mead 5-subject wire-bound notebooks, and I would just write down stuff as people told me these stories. And I never thought to, of course, that was back when everything was on cassette tape. I never thought to just record people. But yeah, so much of that stuff that I had when I was 16, 17 is just long gone. I used to build custom model kits like cars and airplanes and tanks, and we had tons of them, and a bunch of the stuff that I stored in my dad's attic when I joined the Army got sold at a yard sale, and I was very upset about that. I came home and pretty much all my stuff was just gone.
This is a good question from Growing Old. I can't read the whole thing, but any stories about Norsemen or Vikings running into Bigfoot? That's a good question.
Absolutely.
Yes, quite a few. If you examine the original epic poem Beowulf, I think that's what they're talking about. I think they're talking about King Hrothgar being attacked by a clan of Bigfoot. Grendel is described very much as a Bigfoot type creature. The Earth Mother. That fits right into the theory that we believe Bigfoot are subterranean. So I think the epic poem Beowulf was talking a lot about a Bigfoot type creature. And in Norway, the Norwegian countries, and even today, they talk about what they call trolls. But when they describe them as very large hair-covered creatures that live in the woods. So I think that a lot of Norse legends translate very well into modern Bigfoot belief. Bigfoot legends and Bigfoot evidence. You look at the way they describe trolls and some of the forest monsters. They're very much like the creatures that we now know as Bigfoot. And then if you look at the account of Leif Erikson when they founded the first Viking colony here in Vinland, here in the New World, they built a colony, and then they talked about encountering Skraelings. Which the Vikings were known to be the large, usually bearded, powerful warriors of the day, and they were generally bigger than most people that they encountered on their travels. And average height for most Native Americans back then was mid 5s. Now, granted, we found later that the average height among the Osage was around between 6.5 and 7 feet tall. But the average reported, like up in Nova Scotia in the area where the Vinland colony was put, they were much smaller. And then when the Vikings described the Skraelings, they described them as being massive and covered in hair, and they would attack the Vikings and rip their heads off. And they believe that's why the Vinland colony was abandoned. That the Vikings actually fought Bigfoot and lost.
And for something to scare the Vikings out, that's
Yeah, exactly.
And Brock says, so 1,000 years ago, Doc would have been average sized.
Hey, yeah, man. Go to the cottage on the battlefield in Culloden, and the doorway is like up to here on me. It's not even 5 foot tall.
You know, that was deliberate. That was deliberate. The Vikings and the Picts, and a lot of the Scots learned the same thing from both the Picts and the Vikings, because at one point the Vikings controlled most of Scotland all the way down to the Isles. And it wasn't until Somerled MacDonald united the clans and pushed them out. And Somerled was half Viking. The Vikings and the Scots would build the lintel or their door frame. They would build it low, so anybody that was coming in had to come in with their head ducked, and they would just have somebody sitting on the side of the door going, "Oh," chopping heads off as people tried to come in their door.
Pretty rad, but they were shorter, and Ken Brock ain't got no damn room to talk. He's a little tactical midget like me. So there you go, mister.
We used to have a lieutenant. We used to call him the tactical Smurf. And it was when he was on the SWAT team, and whenever he would be all decked out, it would look like if you just give him a good push, he'd just go boom right over, and it'd be like a turtle on his back. Ponch Resort says my grandmother's house ceilings were 6 feet, easier to heat and build. Yeah, lower roofs were easier to heat. Oh, Steve says, "How's the new whiskey?" I have not tried it yet. Perhaps this is a good time to do that. I'm gonna crack this open right now. Again, I will show it's called Blue Line. I'll have a wee splash of it.
While you're doing that, DA.
Oh, that's really good.
Okay, he's got a question.
The Kensington Runestone. Refresh my memory on that, Mike. Was that the one they found in England? I think that was in Kensington, England, if I remember correctly. I believe it's legit. I also think the Heavener runestone is legit. That was found in Heavener, Oklahoma, and it dates to the 8th century. That's 600 years before Columbus sailed on his first voyage. And that was a runestone found in Heavener, Oklahoma, about 6 hours from here. I think a lot of these runestones that have been found, I think they're the real deal. There was one that a farmer plowed up in, I want to say it was Minnesota or Wisconsin. I think it was Wisconsin. He plowed up a runestone, and it's now in a local university, one of the universities there. He donated it to him, but it is a large runestone with the Elder Futhark Viking runes on it. I think the Vikings made it a lot farther than they were ever given credit for. All right, boys, drum roll. Here we go.
I gotta go let the chickens in.
Ooh, boys. That's got a little kick to it, but oh, that is smooth. Smells good, too. I like that. I like that a lot. Nice.
I like it a lot.
Mike A says in Minnesota, supposedly a Viking runestone discovered under a tree wrapped in the roots.
That's pretty cool. I can believe that, Minnesota. I mean, hell, they came all the way through the James River Valley and everything like that into the Great Lakes and everything. I mean, hell, they found some stuff all the way down to Mississippi.
Well, there was recently a language study, a linguistics origin story, origin study done, and it was done on the Sioux, the Lakota Sioux specifically, and that there are words in Lakota that have Viking origins.
That's cool.
They're words in their common use language that have Viking in origin. And before the time of Lewis and Clark, when the first explorers reached the Missouri Valley, there was a tribe of Indians that is now long gone. I suspect they were probably wiped out. But there was a tribe of Indians in the Missouri River Valley that spoke a dialect of Celtic.
That's really freaking cool.
That is bizarre.
I gotta go put my chickens up. I'll be right back. I forgot.
Think about the movie Pathfinder. You seen that one, DA?
Good movie.
Yeah, great movie. Carl Urban, and does a really good job. But I mean that depicts Vikings coming way into the interior of the United States years before anybody ever really even thought they came in. I mean, granted, that's a fantasy thing, but it came from somewhere.
Yeah, and those stories are still prevalent. There are Native American discussions, a Native American oral tradition of talking about these large bearded warriors that they had encountered. And I believe, if I remember correctly, and I could be wrong here, but I think the Choctaw have some legends of meeting these big warriors.
And just like we were talking about with the 13th Warrior, I mean, you know, when he's on his little caravan and the Tartars come after, which were, you know, some of the baddest people that ever walked the face of the earth, started chasing after him until they realized the Vikings were coming. And then the Tartars turned around. Time to go.
Penny Van says, I was born and raised in Wisconsin and moved to Minnesota in the late 80s. The Scandinavian populace is massive in both states. See, they not only do I believe that the Vikings had been there before this continent was quote unquote settled. I think that a lot of the reason that a lot of the Scandinavian immigrants immigrated to that area is because temperate wise and, you know, winter wise and terrain wise, it's very similar to the Norwegian countries. Bad winters, heavily forested, a lot of the same type of minerals. So that area would naturally gravitate people of Scandinavian origin because it felt like home to them.
Yeah.
Penny Man says, Doc, get those tiny dinosaurs put to bed for the night. Barry 7676 says, my grandma was off the Choctaw Res in Oklahoma. Penny Van says, there's never been any doubt of the Vikings being here eons ago. Supposedly there was a Viking group that had established some sort of colony in the Okefenokee Swamp. I've heard several stories about that, but I've never been able to chase down any of the legends on it. Let's see. Brett Laufer says, seems to be a lot of size variation in what we speculate people meant by giants. What are the tallest or largest that you've seen reports of? The largest report I've heard of a Bigfoot it was 15 feet tall. Now, Ron Moorhead said that him and a few of his friends found tracks that were 24 inches long and had I think it was like a 9 or 10 foot stride in Alaska. He said, now the only thing they found was the tracks, but they estimated it probably had to be close to 20 feet tall. To me, that sounds more like a mountain giant than a Bigfoot. But he said they were what he referred to as Bigfoot tracks, and they were 24 inches long. That is a massive foot. That's not a Bigfoot. That's a massive foot. Roger Davis says a Welsh inscription was found in northern Nevada. Well, if you believe the stories, supposedly a cave full of Egyptian artifacts was found somewhere in the Grand Canyon, and that area of the canyon is still off limits. People can't camp there. They can't hike there. That area of the canyon is still not allowed to be accessed. Billy Mitchum says the Catawba Indians were Lakota. Trying to see if I missed any. Thad Brown says, didn't they find Viking stuff either in Arizona or Nevada? Again, it wouldn't shock me. I think they made it pretty far inland. There we go. Growing old with.
Just looked up something.
Just looked up something. The oldest Bigfoot account was recorded in 986 by Leif Erikson and his men. Yep, that's exactly what I was talking about. the Skraelings.
Yep. And that was that the ones they were calling the red-headed giants, or
No, they called them Skraelings, which was a reference to the way they spoke. That it wasn't words; it was more like a screeching, growling sound.
what was we talked about one time about the red-headed giants? Where was that at?
Mhm.
Was that
the Giants of Afghanistan and the Red-Headed Giants of Lovelock Cave.
Lovelock Cave, yeah.
Growing old with purposes, Norsemen wrote about man-like beasts that were horribly ugly, hairy, swarthy, and with great black eyes. Exactly. Miss Naoma said, Mr. Comment, where was it at? I just saw it. Did it jump that high? Oh, yeah, there's a huge trade route between Native Americans prior to the European invasion. Yeah. Penny Van says, holy crap, I got squished into the wall so hard it was like a full body man. Oh, I'm sorry.
I just saw that too.
Oh, that is
that's a visual right there, ain't it? Lord have mercy.
I had to take my camera off. Sorry. I don't want to.
What happened to VA?
I was taking my camera off because I didn't want everybody watching me undo my belt. My belt was cutting into my belly.
Get in my belly.
I was jabbing my fat.
Get in my belly.
That's right.
Get in my belly.
Baby, the other white meat.
Mike A says that the Vikings could get from, I missed that. The Vikings get from Netherlands to Greenland, Canada, and America would have been easy. Well, we know they made it to Greenland and Iceland. We know that for a fact. And then the Leif Erikson journals talk about the settlement they built in Vinland, and they believe modern day Vinland is Nova Scotia, which puts them firmly in North America.
Yep.
And if the Heavener runestone is legit, and I believe it is, it was dated at the late 8th century, which again puts that 600 years before Columbus's first voyage.
And we found a very interesting tidbit about the Heavener stone that kind of links up to Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Robbie.
I can't remember if Doc was on that show or not, but no, it was just me, you, and Noah, wasn't it?
Yep, just me, you, and Noah.
We started talking about the light horseman and the Bigfoot War of
the Choctaw Bigfoot War of 1855, I believe it was.
1855. Yeah, not great with the years, but as we're talking about that story, we start just kind of peeling back those layers and
realize that Heavener is right there, not far from Broken Bow Lake, where where Wild Hunt 1 was set. It's just about half hour away.
He had no clue about that when he started writing it.
Did not. No idea. I knew about the Heavener runestone. I've never been there.
Freaking Ken. Or words.
What? I missed it. Was he giving me a hard time again?
Probably. He said, or words.
Roger Davis says the Rus made it to Central Asia and left their name in Russia. Yeah, Russia gets its name from the Rus. And in Constantinople, the Byzantine emperor, his personal bodyguards were called the Varangian Guard, and the Varangian Guard were all Vikings. Meg Mill says, DA, can you say what's the difference between Bigfoot and mountain giants, please? Sherry asked. I'm sorry I didn't see the question. Thanks for pointing that out, Meg. Mountain giants tend to be much bigger and not as covered with hair. Mountain giant stories usually depict them wearing hides and sometimes carrying clubs, and they're not as broad. They're just really tall. There have been mountain giant stories from up in the northern Rockies, placing them up as high as 30 feet tall. Penny Van says, DAX podcast. You gents have no idea how badly I wish I could just sit and chat with you and tell you all my own life stories. We'd love to hear it. And if we can pull off what we were talking about the other night on Texas show, and Robbie and I have already talked about this, if we can pull off finding a campground that we can secure for a 4 or 5 day extended period, we want to host our own convention. Preferably want to find a place that's got cabins. Because I can't sleep on the ground anymore. My back just won't let me. And I don't own a camper. but preferably someplace with a cabin, because I do like to sleep in my air conditioner. But we want to find a place with a campground, someplace with a pavilion, where we can not only just have speakers talking about, because that's one thing that about these Bigfoot conferences is, yeah, they're great, but they're only usually in most cases one day, and you go and you hear these speakers just talk about their experiences or the research or whatever they're talking about. And if you pay for the extra ticket, the VIP ticket, you might get a couple hours in a meet and greet with these guys, but you don't really get that personal experience. Now, if we can set up a campground and do a 4 or 5 day event, we'd have speakers, we would have classes where Robbie could teach tracking. Robbie and I both could teach evidence collecting. Doc could do first aid. And these would be just basic first aid courses, but you would come to these classes and hear Bigfoot accounts and hear about research, but you also leave with critical skills that you can use, not just bushcraft skills, but cryptozoology skills, applicable skills like how to cast a track, best ways to do photography of evidence, how to collect evidence. There would be so many things that we could do, and over a multiple day thing, we would have those times where we could have a bonfire and a bunch of us could sit around and tell stories. You could have those interactive times where it's more than just pay $50 for a more expensive ticket and you get to talk to somebody and get their autograph. We don't want that. We want this to be a more immersive experience, and it's something that we've talked greatly about putting on. I don't know if we can pull it off this year, but if I can find a campground, we might try.
Yeah, this year's going. I'd hate to miss it, but if y'all can do it, cool. But it's going to be hard for me with my training schedule this year.
Oh yeah, I know you're busier than hell, Doc.
Yeah, if it did happen, that was next year, might give us more time to look too. But,
yeah, I think probably planning for spring or summer of next year would probably be best.
Yeah.
I literally only have like a couple of dates next year that are blocked off my calendar right now. So that's it. So I ain't saying hold it off for me, but because I would love to come down and see everybody and hang out with everybody. I just would hate to miss that because that'd be a lot of fun.
Krista said her and Brandy are in.
Yeah, we just got to find somewhere that's, somewhat central. I don't know where. I mean, we have a lot of folks from all over the United States and abroad, so it'd be kind of.
Well, I mean, and the thing is, you can't accommodate every single person. We know that,
right.
But
yeah,
the better locale that we can come up with that accommodates the most amount of people, that's something we got to take into consideration. And it's just like DA said, it's something that the three of us have talked about that, we want to give more than just, hey, you're going to come in here and you're going to pay thousands of dollars to do basically nothing. And
yeah, exactly. Just to see us now,
Yeah.
and especially if it's somewhere that's kind of a hotbed for activity, that'd be a little more bang for the buck. I mean, hell, we might all get more than we bargained for if we did that. But
just mine.
But that wouldn't be bad.
But to come away with some skills like, obviously, Doc can't teach you how to be an expert medic like he is in a couple of days. I can't teach you how to be an expert tracker. DA and I can't teach you how to be an expert forensics expert. But you come away with some basic skills that you could actually work on and build on.
Right. We can teach you the basics of how to collect evidence properly, how to bag and tag your evidence so you can store it properly, so it doesn't spoil, you don't ruin it. These are the things that you could learn in an afternoon. Now, granted, when we did forensics in the academy, it was a multiple day, big project where we sat for hours and hours during lectures. So I'm not going to be able to go into that in depth, but we could certainly do a full thing on how to properly cast a track, how to properly collect hair samples, how to collect scat samples to keep them from molding, things like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, Griff. I mean, that's the whole thing about it. We're not selling this as, hey, you come learn how to do this for us, you're going to be an expert. It's
none of us claim to be an expert in anything.
Because I'm not an expert tracker by no means. But I've been taught by people who are expert trackers, and I know a few things, and I may learn something from you, Griff, that I didn't know, and you may learn something from me that you didn't know. And
there's a whole different style of tracking when you start looking at you basically were taught forensic tracking, how to study the tracks themselves. But a Native American tracker is going to look at something else entirely. So it would be great to get somebody like William Nighthawk there as well, who could give the counterpoint to that.
Oh, I've got some stories from my instructors who they went out, or they do go out on the res and teach different. I mean, they teach everybody: military, law enforcement, Native American, and Larry had some really good, interesting stories about different people tracking.
Miss Naoma, we're not planning on bringing scat samples.
Dang it, Ranger, mother.
Speaking of scat samples,
if not bring Ranger, we may have our own scat samples.
He stood up, and it sounded like somebody unzipping a damn sleeping bag.
My old Mastiff, he would flop down in front of me, and when he would lay down on his side, it would sound like a car tire going flat. He just flopped down. You'd hear.
No, his is like a grown man fart.
My old bull, my English Mastiff, man, he'd burn your eyeballs. I mean, he could render a room uninhabitable.
Yeah. Look, y'all don't know anything until you're trapped in a car for 12 hours with a dog who does that. Quinna used to drive. there was times that I thought I was going to pull over and throw up.
Well, I think I could top that, and it had nothing to do with a dog. I was forbidden by my wife from ever eating deviled eggs again when we were on a road trip. We went to visit my family, and they made the mistake. We went up there for a holiday dinner, and there was a great big plate of deviled eggs, and they just set them right next to me, and I just kept just eating deviled eggs. So by the time we got in the car to go home, I'd probably eaten a dozen or more, and that was not a pleasant car ride. Even the kids in the back were like, "Dang!"
Yeah, that's
no dog involved.
Pork skins and deviled eggs. Yeah, that'll do it. Things get a wee bit spicy.
Smells like sulfur in this car.
It smells like the pits of hell in here. It's pure brimstone in here.
Noah fed a bunch of hard-boiled eggs to our bull mastiff at one time when he was pretty little. And I'd made a couple of dozen of hard-boiled eggs because I was going to make egg salad for sandwiches when I got home from work. And I got home and I opened the fridge. I'm like, "Honey, where are the hard-boiled eggs?" It's like, "I don't know." And I got to look at it. I found Noah upstairs. He was eating one. He'd give one to the dog, and he's eating one. He'd give one to the dog. I'm like, "Oh my God, this house is going to be uninhabitable."
This is living dangerously.
Blow the roof off that house.
Yeah.
Jesse Van Rensselaer says D8 could be as bad as Keith eating a dozen deviled eggs, then having seafood and a deviled crab after. He stuck me out for 3 days.
At least he didn't have a bunch of broccoli along with it.
Oh my God. We're at the part of the show where we've deviated into fart humor, apparently.
That train of thought has derailed down a cliff.
No, I think you were like 7 at the time.
Oh, Noah. Hey, but I do love me some deviled eggs. We get 4 or 5 eggs a day, so we're in no shortage of eggs. So
my mother-in-law makes the best deviled eggs. Oh my God, her devil! I don't know if she puts crack in them or what, but they're addictive as hell.
Angie does too, man, and she'll throw like chopped up candied bacon in them and all kinds of bougie deviled eggs. And I mean, the outcome is the same. It's going to be a biological disaster. So
yeah.
They taste great, but yeah.
Have you ever been at a crime scene and let one go inside your hazmat suit? It just comes out. Yeah, I found that out the hard way. You just get to bake in your own juices.
It's like old Fat Bastard said. Everybody likes to smell their own cooking.
Well, I didn't that day.
Wafting.
It was worse than the body.
Well, at least you had something to cover the smell, right?
Yeah, I couldn't smell anything else.
Oh my God, man!
Those Tyvek suits, they don't let air out.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a dude puke in his gas mask in the gas chamber one time. That was funny. He put it back on, and all of a sudden you see him. Whoop! There's puke. You're cleaning that out, Junior.
I had a guy next to me in the gas chamber grab my arm with a death grip, and I looked over at him, and I just see blah, 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 as it fills. It was like coming out the filters. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're probably got to get back to Bigfoot. We're deviating from farts to puke now. So
Yeah.
we ought to get back on the subject of Bigfoot before we deviate much further.
Okay. Could you imagine Bigfoot farts? Let's talk about that for a second.
Oh, talk about something that peel paint. Oh my God.
Good. Sweet baby Jesus, man.
Mike A. DA, are you drunk? No, Sarge, I'm trying to escape. You let one go so bad it inflates your Tyvek. You look like the Tyvek. You look like the staple.
Man. Oh Lord.
Oh, Coachy the Wolf says, "Oh man, if Bigfoot smells bad on its own, imagine one had a tray of deviled eggs."
So Patty said instead of going down a rabbit hole tonight, we're going down a smelly hole.
We are.
Yeah, we deviated. Oh my God.
Oh, we deviated so bad. Hey, I'm going to tell Angie good night. I'll pop right back on. All right. Love y'all. Mean it.
Yeah, I definitely think there's a strong Bigfoot connection to Norse mythology.
Oh yeah. And you know, we've talked about some of the European stuff as well, like trolls, different. Because I mean, if you look at it, there's more than one type of troll that they describe in a lot of European mythology. Some of the trolls that they describe very well could be a Bigfoot. Some of them probably mountain giants, but you know, if you start looking at stuff all over the world, a lot of the things that we like, some of the fairy tales we heard as kids, you know, and we're picturing something, you know, like what we've seen on the TV depicted as a troll could very well have been what we know as a Bigfoot, just because it's been liberties have been taken with how writers and artists have, you know, have looked at it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's what they were or what they saw or what they were describing. You know, I think Bigfoot is a lot more prevalent and a lot more common than most people think. I don't think it's just specifically something that's a United States thing.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Now, I watched a video the other day about Bigfoot versus the Yeti, and they're talking about if Bigfoot and the Yeti fought and all this kind of stuff. It's kind of stupid, but some of the stuff on it was pretty good. Where they were talking about the differences and the similarities, and actually, Dr. Meldrum was actually on this one too, and you know, he was like, it's safe to say that it's probably the same type of creature, but it's just evolved and adapted itself to live in different environments. Because I mean, obviously, if you're going to live in Nepal or Pakistan or some of that, you know, that you're not going to survive the same way as if you live in the Pacific Northwest,
right?
Because the food source is not going to be the same, the terrain's not going to be the same, the environment's not going to be the same. So obviously, things are going to be different. So all these things that they see over here in Europe, and we've talked about this with dogmen versus werewolves. I mean,
Mhm.
when did we say the term dogman was coined? In the
The
40s,
first
50s?
I heard Dogman was probably 10 or 15 years ago. I don't know exactly when Dogman was first coined, but I believe it was first coined from a radio station that was covering the Michigan Dogman stories.
So everything prior to that was a werewolf. Anything that looked like that was a werewolf. So
Well, nobody knew anything else or Wolfman or something like that. Nobody had anything else to call it.
So prior to Bigfoot or whatever, we call it over in Europe, they called it a mountain troll.
Mhm.
It could be the
Well,
very
in
same.
England and most of Europe, they referred to what they called a wood woes, a large hairy man that lived in the woods.
Yeah, I mean, if you start really looking,
There are old tapestries dating back to the time of King Arthur.
Yeah.
That depict knights fighting these wood woes creatures. A knight would be on the horse and with a lance, and the wood woes is bigger than them combined, swinging like an uprooted tree as a club.
Which we've heard stories of them doing that.
Right, exactly.
I mean, it's no different, in my opinion, than when the term dragon is a term that has been around for centuries versus the term dinosaur, which was only made in the 1830s, I think, is whenever it came out in the dictionary. So you see all these tapestries, like you said, with knights fighting dragons. To me, those dragons were probably dinosaurs.
Maybe because a lot of the dragons were described as being winged. The only dragons you find that are listed as described as not having wings are the Oriental dragons.
Right, but who's to say that some of those things that were not winged? I mean, we know we have winged pterosaurs and things like that. So I mean,
it's rare that we find a dinosaur fossil that has details of the flesh. We find the bone, but we don't find the flesh. So those fine bones of bat-like membranous wings would probably just be completely gone.
Exactly. So, I mean, and I'm not, but we don't know that a T-Rex didn't have wings. We don't know that a velociraptor didn't have wings. We don't. All we know is what we see in the bones, and there's no way you can look at those bones and know exactly what that creature looked like or acted like or did when it was alive.
Velociraptor bones had air sacs in them, just like a modern day bird.
Yeah. So, that the term, like I said, the term dinosaur is so young, relatively speaking, to what these actual creatures were. What they called a dragon, that was just like we've taught this before. Like calling a tissue a Kleenex. Every tissue is a Kleenex. Well, every big lizard could have been a dragon to them. Some of them had wings, some of them didn't. Just the ones that we see the tapestries or the depictions of them fighting are the ones that had wings, but that doesn't necessarily mean they didn't fight others. And there's not tapestries that didn't get destroyed that had them fighting something like a T-Rex. I mean, I'm not saying that's 100% accurate, but that's my opinion because, the term dinosaur. The term dinosaur is not a term that's been around that long.
Right, it was coined in the late 1800s, and the Penny Van pointed out, dinosaur just means terrible lizard.
Mm-hmm.
Lil Patty says the origins of dragons on the Earth date back 75 million years. Well, every culture on the planet has the creatures that are very much like demons in their mythology. They have creatures very much like Bigfoot in their mythology. They have dragon-like creatures in the mythology, and they even have similarities of like vampire-like creatures. It's amazing that if these were something that was made up by people that claim they saw something in the woods, why are creatures like this appearing in cultures scattered across the planet, where cultures that never had contact with each other?
The term dragon is used in the Bible over 100 times. I forget the exact number, but they use the term dragon over 100 times. And it may be more than that. And like Meg says in the book of Job, God does describe dragon-like creatures. I mean, you start talking about the Leviathan, and there's been people who said that could be like a Sarcosuchus, people who said it could have been a T-Rex, behemoth. They said it could have been a brontosaurus.
That I can't remember what they call it. Max Hawthorne would know, but the mosasaur. It could have been a mosasaur.
Yeah, I mean,
what about Grendel from the Beowulf story? We brought that up just a few minutes ago. Yeah, Grendel was described very much like a Bigfoot.
Yeah, and so and we've said it so many times before. All these myths and all these legends and all these things that we hear about from the old country and from Pakistan and from all these places around the world. There's a common thread with every one of them. You don't have so many people talk about so many things that have so many similarities without there being some thread of truth to it.
I agree.
Inca stones, cave paintings. I know I sound like a broken record when I bring that stuff up, but you don't have those things in existence unless people saw these things and experienced something like it.
Well, it's like somebody mentioned in the chat a minute ago. I was going to bring it up and then didn't get it before it already passed by. They talked about fossilized dinosaur tracks being found next to human prints that are fossilized in the stone. How many of those we showed that night that were obviously Bigfoot type tracks that were in stone?
Yeah. Well, I showed. I found you the picture we put on one night of the human footprint that the dinosaur footprint was over the top of.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you don't, stuff like that doesn't happen unless these creatures walked the earth the same time we did. And, you don't, like Daniel Holt just brought up, and that's what I was talking about with the Inca stones. You don't paint a picture of a T-Rex or a Stegosaurus on a rock 4,000 years ago unless you've seen it, because you can't get on Google and say, I want to see what a T-Rex looks like.
Right. They didn't have access to anything like that back then. Yeah. Brett Laufer says people report those mini T-Rex type raptors in Arizona. Exactly. But here's the weird thing. If you look at a cassowary bird, it basically looks like a feathered raptor. I mean, they're like 5-6 feet tall. They've got a massive hooked claw on both feet. They have these weird, like, bony ridges that run down the top of their head. They look like a living freaking dinosaur, and they are absolutely vicious.
They will F you up.
Crocodile hunter Steve Irwin, cassowary bird is the only thing I ever saw him run from. Straight up wanted no part of it. He was back in the camera crew. He was like, cassowary bird, get out.
Other than when he had the 3 rattlesnakes underneath his. That scared
him. Well, yeah, that's different. I've never, he backed away and got away from the rattlesnakes. He straight up made the camera crew run and get out of the area when they saw a cassowary.
I just love that episode.
Yeah, says it's like the gargoyles. They're in Europe, but also in Mexico too. Yeah, gargoyles is another creature that shows up in numerous mythologies.
Yep. And there's a lot of different myths and theories about gargoyles too. That might be a good show to have one night.
We did one a long time ago with Josh Turner, but that's been one of the early shows. We should probably go back and do some more, dig up some more sightings of gargoyles and do another show. I think it'd be a good one. Brett Laufer says, I believe some of the ancient Hindu temples showed depictions of dinos. There he is.
Hey.
How you doing?
I'm not a smart man, but I know what love is.
Those look like comfortable shoes. I bet you can walk all day in shoes like that.
And not feel a thing.
I know what love is. The feel of recoil and the smell of cordite.
My mama said there's no such thing as dinosaurs. I'd eat the hell out of a T-Rex. I'm just saying.
Yeah, Peter, don't assume I wouldn't eat a T-Rex. T-Rex might be delicious.
I'm from the South. We have deep fried the hell out of that thing.
Yeah, batter dip it and deep fry that son of a gun.
Yeah, throw
Can
in
you
some
imagine
buttermilk.
freaking steak on the grill, taking off a T-Rex?
Hey, hey, we'd probably end up deep frying it like a damn Thanksgiving turkey too. But could you imagine the size of the pot you'd need? It'd be like a swimming pool full of peanut oil.
A 14-foot, 70-pound tenderloin. Well, imagine the smoke you need for that bad boy.
Yeah, Slim Chickens ain't got crap on that, son. Mama said, alligators are so angry because they got all them teeth and no toothbrush.
Well, Mama's wrong again.
No, Colonel Sanders, you're wrong. Sorry, we just reenacted the whole damn scene.
Courtesy of Captain Inthano.
Captain Inthano showed no mercy.
That's some high quality H2O. Oh my Lord.
And we're devolving.
They ever catch that gorilla what escaped from the zoo and punched you in the eye? No, Mama.
Oh Lord, have mercy. Okay, what did Brandy Blondes and Blue say? It was at a private case at a horse farm in Missouri. It was in a barn.
Must have missed the first part of that. Noah, can you find the first part of that? Noah says, I'm a chef. I can assure you, anytime I see an animal, I think, how can I cook this? I mean, can you seriously imagine the freaking size of the tenderloin on a T-Rex?
Oh, deep fry it. Oh. I mean, of course, bread it.
No.
The backstrap. Yeah.
Yeah, the backstrap. Oh, the backstrap. Freaking 30-foot long backstrap.
Dude, throw that on the
small elephant. Blondes and Blue says, I saw what looked like a gargoyle at a paranormal case I was working on. Really? That's awesome. Is that here in Missouri or somewhere in a nearby state?
Wow.
Griff says, Doc, recommend a first aid kit for an event of around 50 people to keep on hand.
Several, brother. No, I'm not trying to be facetious, but you literally need several. Shoot me an email, Griff, to Kerry, and if you got a pen, write this down. KERRY. That's Kilo Echo Romeo Yankee @ darkangelmedical.com. Shoot me an email, and we can go through some stuff together for you.
And I, like Doc was saying, I would recommend having more than one medic and have each of them with a multi-kit.
And have if there's 50 people there, have kits staged.
Exactly.
Thank you, Noah. Appreciate you. Yeah, have those kits staged.
If you want to get those kits from darkangelmedical.com, Doc can ship them to you, and you get 25% off your order with Cryptid 25.
That is correct.
Because we know a guy.
A little guy.
It's
like what's his name? Vincent D'Onofrio in Magnificent Seven. I was watching that the other night. He said, I'll say a prayer for you. You know, a little prayer.
I think that bear was wearing people clothes.
I know. That's a great movie. That's a great remake.
Honestly, and I like the classics. I like that one better than the original.
I did too. Denzel Washington, awesome job.
Chris Pratt.
And I've been watching a lot more Westerns lately because of DA's damn Dark Frontiers books. So it's a sickness. It's a sickness.
I know the crowd's not going to get this one, but damn, there's another one.
I get it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The conversation, we'll call it.
Well, this is a good time since we are coming up on the 2-hour mark. Doc, how about you tell us a little bit about a Dark Angel Medical?
Well, how about it? As my daddy used to say, I said, how about? So Dark Angel Medical is a little company I started about 12 years ago. Actually about 13 years ago, somewhere in there. But we make trauma kits. That's our claim to fame. We make minor first aid trauma kits, major first aid trauma kits, anything from your, hey, I got a scallywag tactical or a Brock Blades knife and I cut myself, to holy crap, there's been a car accident and somebody's bleeding to death type trauma kits. So we have quite a variety of trauma kits on our website. The big thing with a trauma kit is, just like a lot of the tools you may have, is not only having the tools, but knowing how to use them and when to use them quickly, decisively, and effectively. So to that end, we offer training. We offer in-person training all around the United States, and we also offer online training. So if you can't come to a class, if you can't make a class because of family reasons, job obligations, anything like that, or simply you don't want to be around people, and that's cool, head over to darkangelmedical.com, check out our training schedule, sign up for a class near you. We are also working on our 2024 calendar right now, because 2023 is pretty full. And if you decide to order one of our kits, use the code cryptid25 for 25% off of your order. And if you write in the order notes Team Odin, we will include one of our little Team Odin rockers in there for you as well. Now, our kits are all FSA, HSA eligible. So if you have a FSA or HSA account, you can use that account to spend your money on one of those trauma kits. And if you ever have the, I would say, honestly, misfortune or opportunity to use one of our trauma kits on someone, including yourself, and you save their lives, you just let us know, and what we will do is refund you 100%, or not refund you, but we will replace 100% free of charge whatever you have used on that kit. You just send the unused components back to us, and we will inspect them for serviceability, pack them along with whatever you have used, and send it back to you 100% free of charge. That's called our Kit for Life guarantee. Let me see here. Doc, are you going to have any for sale at the Dogman conference? That's going to be there in Texas, right? I believe. Yep. Yes, I'm going to be on the road pretty much the whole month of August. And so my wife will be flying in. So yeah, we're going to have some there for sale, cash monies, because I don't have a Stripe account. So, that said, head over to darkangelmedical.com, use discount code cryptid25 for 25% off of your order. That's our largest discount code. That's our way of saying thank you for being part of the DAX Machination. And y'all stay safe.
Mr. Robbie, would you like to talk about Scallywag Tactical?
I sure would.
Tactical?
Tactical. Scallywag Tactical is another one of our affiliates, another one of our veteran-owned companies that we support. You read the books, you've seen them in the books. That would be the gunner's mate that Doc is holding out there. It looks like a sword in his hand. Then DA's actually got a sword in his hand called.
Ugly.
Sorry, I had to. Then DA's got the bounty. Then you got a Jolly Roger here, and Doc's got the mini jack as a sailor assisted folder. The Orca, as you can see, we've all got multiple. That's the Dew Claw. DA's got right there. My Dew Claw is on my.
The other day, the Dew Claw and the Tribal are both what they have in stock now is all that they are going to get. When they are sold out, they are gone.
I've got my Dew Claw attached to my plate carrier in the back of my patrol card for this weekend. They've got some of the best fixed blades, folders, kitchen knives. Just they've even got knives for your tackle box, fillet knives, fishing knives. It's called the Bad Fish. DA's got one of those.
It's buried.
If you're a knife person and you like knives, you can't go wrong getting one of these knives. Because, go ahead, Doc.
Doc, we can't hear you. Doc, we can't hear you.
See, that's what he gets for making fun of me.
Back out and come back in. I guess he did.
That's what he gets for making fun of me. But anyway, they've also got the thing on there called the blemish blade section. Most of the time, it's just a box that's messed up. Every once in a while, you'll find a scuff on a blade or something like that. Go hit that. Find you a good discount on the blade. Go to checkout and put code DA Roberts 10. Get you 10% off on that. It does stack up. And hopefully Doc will get back on and say what he was wanting to say, because I don't know what he was wanting to say because I can't read his lips.
I'm not here.
There he is.
Hey, we can hear you now.
Can y'all hear me? Okay.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure y'all could read my lips. No, Daniel Hull said, would you, is it true? Well, I mean, there's never been any rumor about me putting it on a dog's, for saving a dog's life, but dogs are people. So if you use one of my kits to save a dog's life, yeah, I'll reimburse you. Dogs are people. So there you go.
There you go.
Especially if that dog is a canine officer.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely replace it on a dog. You send me documentation. Sorry, Robbie.
Oh, thank you. Cool. Like I said, get on, go check out the blemish blade section. Go buy you a good knife. I've had Benchmade, Gerber, Kershaw. I've had every Spyderco. I've had every one of these knives that will cost you $250, $300 at the big stores. These knives are just as good, if not better. You're not gonna pay as much for these knives as you are. You're still gonna pay. These are $high knives, but they're worth it. And
absolutely,
that's some high quality H2O.
Yeah.
If you go to the blemish blade sections right now, you can get one of these, the Orca. I just bought a few blemish blades for future giveaways. I've got 3 or 4 of them down here. You can get the Orca with the discount. You can get these for like $12.
Right now.
And I dare you to go to Walmart and buy you a $12 knife that will be
anywhere near
as good as this.
That's right.
This is a $50 or $60 knife, easy, that you can get for $12.
$45 knife, but if you go to the blemish blade, you can get them real cheap.
This is a $45 knife that I got for like $15.
Yeah, and Craig stands behind his products too. Craig stands behind his products.
Good guy.
Yeah. Speaking of hella good guys, we should talk about Ken Tactical Midget Brock.
What a segue!
All right,
thank you.
Talk about that. The link to the Brock blades. Noah, can you swap that link? There we go. Thanks, bud. Ken Brock, who's Brock Blades in the chat, is a career cop who makes custom made to order blades. He makes them himself. They're all handmade. All of the Scallywag blades are fantastic. Don't get me wrong, but they're produced identically. They're all mass produced, and they're high quality. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking the blades at all, but all of Ken's blades are unique. Each one is a work of art. This is the Skane Do, which is a Gaelic. Is it Skane or Skeen?
Skin Do. It means black blade.
Black blade. It's the knife the Highlanders kept in their sock. It was a holdout weapon. This one's made out of titanium. Ken gave me this one. It is stupid sharp, and I put it on a little pocket thong and just keep it stuck down on my pocket so I can pull it out. Sentinel's in the house. What's up, brother?
What's up, Sentinel?
Sentinel, 6 killer.
This is called the Street Weasel from Brock Blades. This is his neck scalpel. He sent that one to me because I'm a doc, so it's reminiscent of a scalpel. And this is one of the Zero Designs knives.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, it's nasty.
Nasty.
And it's so sharp it'll cut you how many ways, Robbie? 3.
Long, deep, and continuous.
That's correct.
Yeah, you ordering that one? I want one of those. That looks like a new EDC.
Yeah, it's I'm thinking about that. It's, Zero Designs, and Ken always puts his signature on there from Brock. So you got a Brock blade. But yeah, if you look in DA's books, the Ardennes knife that Will Gray Eagle uses is very heavily mentioned in there, and that's a Brock Blades knife. So, and if you look on his website and it's not in stock, just email him, right? And let him know that you heard about his knives from where, DA?
Here at DAX Machina. He doesn't have a discount code per se, but if you mention when you're making your order that you heard about Brock Blades here at DAX Machina, you will get 10% off your order, which is fantastic. Because if you've got somebody in your life that's, you know, first responder, law enforcement, military, or just an outdoorsman, likes to hunt, fish, you know, camp, backpack, a custom made knife is an amazing gift. It's something they'll treasure for their whole life. And these knives are such high quality. It's not something that's designed to be set on a shelf and look pretty. These knives are utility knives. These are workhorse knives. These are designed to be used, and can make some fantastic high quality steel blades. So if you're looking for a great gift for somebody in your life that appreciates a good knife, a custom made knife, you know, look no further. And just absolutely fantastic gift for anybody, even for yourself.
Yeah, Robbie got to see his shop. Robbie got to meet him in person and everything because he's out there in South Kakalaki. So Robbie got to go see his shop and meet him and everything. And I think Robbie's exact words to me were, "I thought he'd be taller in real life, but you know, he's a lot like." Robbie didn't say that. I'm just breaking Ken's balls, but no, Ken is a great dude. Veteran law enforcement. Craig from Scallywag's a vet, and I'm a vet. So, you know, we all appreciate y'all shopping with us because, like DA always says, y'all ain't just friends and readers, you're family, and we appreciate y'all.
Growing Old with Purpose says, thanks for the links. I'm looking for a small folding knife to keep in my purse for all-around readiness. I highly recommend the Orca. It is just an all-around great utility knife, and you can pick a high-quality knife for around $20 through the Blemish Blades.
They got some great blades, y'all. They really do.
That is the Orca. It's got the serrated part up top. It's got the straight edge up here. Great everyday carry. I carry this one on my uniform when I'm at work. This is my dress up knife when I just going out or whatever, and this is I'm in the shop and need to.
Doc, this one's for you because you know the fella, the Seox.
Well, I mean, he might have been talking about the boarding axe too from Scallywag.
That's true. The Scallywag does have the boarding axe, but I think if you're talking about the ones I've mentioned on numerous times in the books, the tomahawks, I mentioned the Winkler knives, Seox tomahawks, and Doc's a good buddy of the folks over at Winkler.
I know the Winklers, so
I want one of those Seox so bad.
This is a Seox from Winkler. It's got the curly maple handle on there. Beautiful blade.
It's just on the terminal list.
Yeah, Jack Carr's terminal list.
Those were.
Let me see here, and this blade is the spine is over a 1/4 inch thick, and so yeah, that would definitely ruin the day. So yeah, that's the Winkler knives. There's a lead time on them, but if you go on there, they do offer a military discount if you're a vet, first responder, law enforcement type stuff. But go to WinklerKnives.com, and Mr. Dan is just a stand-up dude, great guy. Him and Miss Karen, great people, and they make some fantastic, also fixed blades and tomahawks.
I want one of those Seox tomahawks so bad.
I might have to get you one for your birthday next year. It'll give me a year to save up for it.
I would stop making fun of you quite so much.
No, you wouldn't. Don't lie. Don't try to butter my biscuit, DA.
Don't blow smoke up his kilt.
Don't pee down my back and tell me it's raining. No, we've got, I mean, the thing is, DA is what I've loved about his books, and I know Robbie will concur with this, and all you readers out there, he puts solid real world proven gear in his books, and I'm excluding my gear too, but I'm not including that. But our stuff's been used in real world situations, but he puts good gear in his books, and I'm kind of a gear snob, man. I like good gear because and it ain't cheap, but you get what you pay for. You can't expect first rate results with third rate gear. So
Don't get a kit from Amazon for $20 and expect it to be a good quality kit.
Exactly.
$20 you ain't much more than Band-Aids and Bactine.
Exactly. Noah just said it. He said, I won't lie. I won't stop making fun of you. Get me something for my birthday. That's okay, Noah. I mean, that's what we all love about each other here. You know, it's just family, you know, and DA said it. I've said it. Robbie said it. We're all from the South, man. If we don't pick on you, it means we don't like you. You know, if we pick on you, we love you to death. So it's all in good humor, all in good fun.
Rookie officers that when I was training officers for Greene County, they'd say, Robert, sure, you're a pretty quiet guy. How do we know when you don't like somebody? I said, do you see me teasing people and cracking jokes with them? Yeah, well, that's how you know I like somebody. If you see me not cracking jokes with somebody, I don't like them. They're like, oh, I think I can be with you people you don't like. I'm like, yeah, I think you probably can.
This is what we call a clue, detective. So
A clue.
A clue. Oh man. Whew. What a great 2 hours of not much topic and a lot of fun.
We did have a good time. We most certainly had a good time.
Always do.
When I was writing the Ragnarok Rising books, I got on an elevator with a guy, and I'm not going to name him by name because he might be listening, but he was basically like our internal affairs guy. He was the guy that investigated officers. Wasn't a real popular dude. So the three of us, me, him, and my lieutenant, all get on an elevator at the same time, and we go up to the next floor because it's only a 2-story building, and we get up to the floor. Door opens, and he walks out, and I start to walk out. My lieutenant puts his hand up in the middle of my chest and stops me, and he looks out of the elevator to make sure the dude was out of earshot. And he was mentioning my Ragnarok books. He goes, he dies, right? I'm like, oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that happens to people sometimes, doesn't it, DA?
It is very cathartic to kill somebody off that just pisses you off.
Huh.
You don't even have to name the character after him, as long as you know. And there was one character. There was. I won't name him by name, but the dude just absolutely hated me because my buddy Matt. He said, because the character that Wiley puts the shotgun in the face of at the checkpoint. That was actually based off a real guy, but my buddy Matt told another dude, yeah, that was you. And so this dude hated me for like 2 years, and I had no idea why. Like, it wasn't you. What the hell are you talking about?
That wasn't you. That just means he was that means he was, I mean, he's got a guilty conscience.
If the boot fits.
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
Well, boys, we are at 2 hours and 15 minutes almost. We'll start wrapping things up. Folks, thank you guys for hanging out with us. We had a great time. Oh, you got to get the fog dog attack again?
Oh,
Gas.
Oh God, man.
You're going to have to start breaking out the mop gear.
I got my gas mask over there, so yeah.
Folks, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Hey, before we go, hey, Robbie, tell us about your other channel.
Oh, what's really out there? DX Monk and the Light. Just had a episode drop Wednesday, I think. Yeah, really kind of want to push the YouTube side of it. We've got 325 subscribers now. We're trying to get that 500 mark where we can monetize and hopefully stop paying out of pocket to keep this going. Got like 4 more episodes lined up. We didn't record this week because of obvious things that are going on in the city that are going to happen this weekend. But we got some good episodes coming out. If you like this channel, you'll probably like our channel. We'll do the same thing. Just kind of a little shorter version of what we do here.
And you're not live.
Yeah, no, we're not live. It's all for now. It's all audio right now, but we're still pushing the YouTube part of it. So hopefully we can get up to the 500 subscriber mark before too long, so we can start helping take off some of the cost of this, because pretty much the Spreaker account's coming out of my pocket every month for this, and it has for the whole time. So it'd be nice if we can get it monetized where I could maybe do some other stuff for the show too. So y'all go check it out, subscribe, give it a like. It's I think we got 42 episodes, but there's only like 37 of them on YouTube, because when we actually started on YouTube, we didn't have the first few episodes on there. So you can go back and listen to those on Spreaker, iHeart, Spotify, any of those. But most all the rest of the episodes are on YouTube. So we're just kind of trying to push that one right now. Norm, Johnny, and I, and we've had Steve joined us here over the past couple episodes too. Is we try to just go more in depth on more specific type stuff that like maybe one particular angle of something versus like we do here, the broad spectrum of everything. So appreciate everybody that just said they subscribed. That's about it. What's really out there?
Say about that.
That's all I got to say about
that.
And I know Noah's kind of bashful about plugging himself, so I'm going to do it for him. Noah just had to switch over from Twitch to YouTube, and he's trying to rebuild his audience. If you guys like video game streams and hilarious content, check Noah's stream out over here on YouTube now. Twitch really did some pretty shady shit, and a lot of the streamers had to leave Twitch. So he's trying to rebuild his audience here on YouTube. So if you check him out here on YouTube, it's at Jorgamunder, spelled just like it is in the chat there. Noah, can you throw your link up? Oh, yeah, he's doing it. There we go. Links popping up in the chat now. Check out Noah's Twitch YouTube over there at YouTube, or youtube.com/@Jorgamunder, or on Kick at kick.com/Jorgamunder. So if you guys, subscribing to somebody in YouTube don't cost you a cent, but it does help his analytics and help his channel grow. So he's trying to rebuild what basically Twitch cost him. So if you guys could swing over there and give him a like and a share, that would be awesome. I would sure appreciate it. That one guy says, dude, I can't believe I missed this one. Sorry, man. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Yeah. And I'm going to bump in real quick. And if y'all want to check out the order of DA's books, it's up a little bit further, about 5 comments up in the stream elements. Check the timeline order of books at daroberts.net/da-verse-timeline/ and you can get the current timeline of all of his books. And if you are not familiar with his books, or even if you've only read a few of them, check out the whole timeline, because I guarantee you will not be disappointed and you will want more.
Doc, you had a question directed at you I wanted to get back to.
Ooh, home kit and vehicle kit. Daniel, that's a good question, man. In my home, I have just a standard trauma kit next to all of my fire extinguishers, because the way I look at it, I know where all my fire extinguishers are. Everybody in the house knows where they are. And if you know where your fire extinguishers are, you should know you'll know where your trauma kit is as well. So I have a standard dart kit by each of those. Actually, in my laundry room, another fire extinguisher, I have an ouch pouch plus. And in vehicles, we have a couple of options for that. We have the hard case, which is a pretty comprehensive kit. And we also have the headrest mounted kit. And we also have a visor mounted kit. So check out our website. And if you have any more questions, just shoot me an email and I'll get you squared away.
I'm planning on getting one of the hard case kits for the car.
Yeah, Ken ordered one. He just said it. He just got a hard case for his truck. Sent me a picture of it the other day. He's got it riding right there.
Is that the header?
No, it's the one that's kind of like a. It's like
It looks like a case of Glock comes in, only a little bigger.
it's like a Pelican style case,
I haven't seen that one
and
yet.
it's made by Royal Case Company in Dallas, Texas. So it's a U.S. made kit. So, yeah, it's a solid kit. It's got a wide variety, and if you order it, check the options box yes for the trauma module, and that'll give you like a trauma kit that you can just pull out, and the rest of it's just like your ouchie first aid stuff and fractures and things like that. So
and definitely use the discount code cryptid25 for 25% off the order.
Absolutely. I agree, Meg. DA is the best author out there. He is the Tom Clancy of cryptids.
Thank you, guys. That means the world to me. Thank you so much.
Brock, I'm just not as good looking. Yeah, he's an ugly cuss. I'm glad he's nice, but man, his mama had to tie a pork chop around his neck, make the dogs play with him when he was a baby. So.
Got scars all over his chest and face from where you put him in the corner and fed him with a slingshot.
I'm waiting. Yeah, I'm waiting for a text from him.
We love you, Ken. We love you, Ken.
Oh, mercy.
You besmirch my honor. Corgis into battle.
Sometimes.
Battle corgi. Oh God, I love that crap. Yes. And folks, if you have not had a chance to check out any of my books, please do so. Check them out over at daroberts.net. I've got multiple series that are still active. I've got a zombie series. I have a sci-fi series. Actually, I have two sci-fi series. I have multiple cryptid series, including one set in 1865 at the close of the Civil War. I've got lots of books out. I got 29 currently in print, with number 30 close to being done. And I hope you guys would check those out. And if you like to listen to the audio, several of them are available right now from Cam Buckner over on the Dixie Cryptid for free. And you can listen to those for free on Dixie Cryptid, or he's also got them on Spotify and in a couple of the podcast networks. So you could, if you're an over the road trucker, you can listen to those for free. There are others that are currently available through Audible with Amazon, but I'm probably going to be doing more and more of them with Cam, simply because it's just a better deal. Unfortunately, when you do Audible through Amazon, they keep like 76 or 77% of everything, and the author and the narrator have to split the 24% remaining, which is not a good split at all, because all Amazon is doing is hosting the file. The author writes the book and the narrator does all of the audio work, and then we upload it to Amazon and they just put it on their website and take 76%. So we're probably not going to be doing a whole lot with Audible, but we probably will have some of them there as well. Lewis says, what about the cookbook? That's still in the works. I need someone that can help me compile the cookbook, because I can't dedicate a lot of time to the cookbook because it takes away from my writing schedule, and I try to spend most of my time writing as much as possible. Oh, Roxanne Delgado says, story. You guys want me to read a little bit from a short story?
Absolutely.
No. I'm just kidding.
Doc's like, no, screw you.
No, hit it.
Let me see what I might have here available. I'll do a short story, preferably one that has not been released. Let me take a look here. Cam already did that one. Sorry, give me a second. Oh, here we go. I'll do an excerpt from Demons Part 1. The stories that I'm calling Demons Part 1 and 2 are Margolin origin stories. I'll do this one. I'll read, I don't know, 3 or 4 pages, whatever, when I find a good stopping point. But I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's just shy of 20,000 words. Demons Part 1, a codename Wild Hunt story. In battle, you can forgive a man anything except an unwillingness to take risks. Sometimes you have to put it on the line. Tom Clancy. 12 June, 1400 hours, Steve's Pub and Grub. Margolin sat at the bar of the mostly empty Steve's Pub and Grub. The only occupants besides him were Steve and one lost tourist sitting at a booth eating a burger and studying an old paper map. Margolin was sipping at a glass of whiskey and staring off into space. Draining the glass, he lifted it and waggled it from side to side, indicating he wanted another one. Steve smiled, raised a bottle of Gentleman Jack, and refilled the offered glass with a generous double shot. Want to talk about it? Steve asked, smiling softly. Not really, replied Margolin. I appreciate the offer, but I'd rather just drink and let my memory slowly slip away. Fair enough, said Steve, nodding. I totally get that. If you change your mind, I'll be here. Margolin nodded and lifted the glass to his lips. Steve frowned slightly as he walked away. That was Margolin's 4th large glass of whiskey. Steve knew the team did some dangerous and stressful things, so he didn't want to push it. However, it was unusual for one of the team to be here alone. They generally came in groups to celebrate. This, however, didn't look like a celebration. Margolin took a long pull from the glass and slowly lowered it back to the paper coaster on the bar. He felt the fiery whiskey burning in his stomach and the warmth spreading to his extremities. It numbed the sensation but did nothing for his memory. That was, unfortunately, still quite clear. Painfully, vividly clear. He lifted the glass to his lips again just as the door opened. He didn't glance up, preferring to ignore whoever it was, just like he was ignoring everyone else. Despite the alcohol, he couldn't help but sense that whoever it was, they were heading right for him. Well, fuck, he muttered, taking another sip. Valkyrie slid onto the bar stool next to him and waved her hand at Steve. Can I get one of those smoky old-fashioned drinks you make? She asked. Sure thing, said Steve, grinning. Single or double? How long's he been here? She asked, jerking her head at Margolin. Since around noon, said Steve. Better make it a double, she replied. Looks like I've got some catching up to do. They sat in silence as Steve mixed the drink after using the cocktail smoker to fill the interior of the glass. His old-fashioned recipe was a closely guarded secret, but everyone who tried them generally agreed they were the best they'd ever had. Steve added the round whiskey ice cube and poured the dark amber liquid over it. Adding a chunk of orange rind and a dark cherry, he swirled the glass a few times with a tiny straw, then sat it in front of Valkyrie. Enjoy, said Steve. Margolin pointed at the drink, then pointed at himself, indicating that Steve should put it on his tab. Steve nodded and walked away. Thanks, said Valkyrie. Margolin shrugged noncommittally. You're unusually quiet, she said. Want to talk about it? Margolin said nothing as she lifted her glass to her nose and let the scent of the smoke fill her nostrils. The deep aroma was the perfect accompaniment to the smokiness of the whiskey. She tasted notes of orange, the dark cherry, the woodiness of the whiskey, and a slight sweetness to it, and a hint of another flavor she couldn't quite nail down. Was it chocolate? She wasn't sure, and Steve wouldn't tell her, no matter how many times she asked. I love this drink, she said, smiling. So complex, yet undeniably simple. Every time I get one, I fall in love all over again. Margolin stared off in the distance. She recognized that look in a person's eyes. She'd seen it in so many soldiers. They called it the 1,000-yard stare. Something was bothering the usually jovial Margolin, and no one seemed to know what it was. Valkyrie sipped her drink and said nothing, allowing him to reflect silently. Even if he didn't want to talk about it, she wanted him to know someone was there for him. Even sitting in silence together was better than drinking alone. She was still torn by how she felt about him. When she first met him, she thought he was a moron. The longer she was around him, she realized there was something else there. Something he was hiding behind the goofball exterior that he showed to the world. Then he'd saved her life in that swamp when a snake nearly bit her in the face. They weren't really dating, and they weren't really just friends. She wasn't sure what they were, but she knew something could happen between them if they'd only let it. Despite all his flirting, Margolin had done nothing to pursue a relationship with her. She wanted to give him time, but she couldn't wait forever. They sat silently through another drink, letting the quiet hang heavy in the air. The tourist at the back table paid his bill and left, leaving them alone with Steve. He remained close by, but they tried to stay far enough not to look like he was eavesdropping. Margolin motioned for another round, then sat patiently as Steve refilled his glass and sat another old-fashioned in front of Valkyrie. Once he'd walked off, Margolin glanced at Valkyrie and jerked his head toward the back of the room. He got up and headed for a booth well away from the bar. Valkyrie followed him, sitting opposite of him in a high-backed booth that gave each table privacy. Margolin took another sip from his drink, then sat it on a napkin. Valkyrie set her untouched glass beside his and looked him in the eyes. I don't know if I should tell you this, he said. I've only told this story to one other person since it happened, and they died back in Afghanistan. Valkyrie took his hands in hers and held his gaze. You can tell me anything, she said. I'm here to listen. I just don't know I just don't want you to think differently about me, he replied. I mean, I don't see how you couldn't. Her mind raced now. She wasn't sure what he was hinting at, but it profoundly affected him. She'd seen combat personally. She doubted anything he could tell her would shock her. Then again, he so rarely gave away anything about his past. Hey, she said, squeezing his hands. No judgments. Whatever you need to get off your chest, I'll listen. Margolin took another long drink from his glass and sat it back down. All right, he said. You asked for it. It all started before I joined the Army, 10 years ago to be exact. Today is the anniversary of the event that would change the course of my life. I was 18 when it happened. And that's where I'm going to stop because it takes off on a whole different scene.
I like it. Yeah, for those of y'all who are not familiar with this, man, this is hit the Patreon because this is going to be a whole new spin on Margolin, because we all know him as the lovable, embrace the suck goofball, he's kind of the court jester of Team Odin, but behind a happy face, sometimes that's a facade, and this will delve deeper into his inner workings, and I think y'all will appreciate it.
And I'm coming along pretty nicely on part 2, Demons Part 2, and it'll be about the same size. Once Demons Part 2 is done, and then I finish the other short story I'm working on. I've got actually 2 or 3 short stories going at the moment. I'm going to release a compilation of short stories that'll have Demons 1 and 2 in it, and it'll have another Team Odin story. It'll have the one that I read the excerpt from the other night about the deputy and the dogman. There's going to be several stories in it. It'll probably be, all told, it'll probably be 80 to 100,000 words of all short stories. Hopefully I'll have that compiled and done in the next couple of months. So this is a big summer for me. I'm going to try to get 4 or 5 more books out this year.
I know what facade means, Ken.
I was waiting for that.
Hey, you from South Carolina too. I don't want to hear it.
Apparently, he's an educated man. Now I really hate him.
Love you, Ken.
Oh, that dude is so freaking funny, man. Holy crap. Oh, that boy's got a master's degree. I think he's got a PhD in ball busting, that's for sure.
Yep.
Oh.
At least when it comes to me and you, he does.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. Yeah, Toshi, you are not wrong, man. And DA and I have had this conversation offline. The way his character, his development has kind of taken a life of its own. And DA was like, he was just going to be like a, inconsequential character to the books. But as his character developed, it grew and grew and grew. And there's a story.
Hartman is one of those characters that just seemed to take on a life of his own.
Yeah.
I did not really intend to make him a major character. He was just going to be one of those idiots in the background that Clark had to deal with. But the more I wrote Margolin, the more he developed his personality became. There would be times I'd be writing dialogue, and even I would be absolutely astounded at the shit that came out of his mouth. I'd be like, where the hell did that come from?
And that's what I'm talking about, DA. I think that's what all the readers who are on this chat and abroad who've read your books really appreciate. And I've said it, your character development has come so far and I ain't saying this to blow sunshine up your kilt. That ain't about what it is. It's appreciation for the craft, and it's apparent that it works, and these characters they're people. We can identify with them, their own personal demons, for lack of a better word, pardon the pun, so kind of cool.
Yep.
Well, I appreciate that, brother. Thank you so much.
No worries.
My writing is my pride and joy. It's something that I've really pulled myself into over the years. It helped me through a lot of dark places. When I was a I nearly got my skull stomped in one night, and was in a neck brace for a while, and spent about a month trying to do things simple like remember my kid's name. I had a pretty nasty concussion, and I thought my writing career was over because they thought I had brain damage. And at that time, I only had 2 books done. I was able to recover. I had to see a therapist. I still have trouble with it, but my writing has been a catharsis for me. It allows me to work through things. It allows me to express creatively some of the dark things that I've dealt with in my life. There are elements of me in every page. In every character, there is something of me in it. Even the villains, there's darkness in all of us. So every character that I create, they might be based on somebody, but there'll be pieces of me in there as well. I love making characters based on like these 2 idiots and other folks that have shown up.
These two idiots. I mean, it's therapeutic. I mean, writing can be your own therapy. Writing can be your own therapy. Absolutely. Noah, you may have inherited that. No, buddy, you did inherit that
from the get-go.
You got a big dose of it, son. That's for sure. Ain't no lie about that. Where are you going, Justin?
DA and DNA.
Dude, I'm gonna give you an edible if you don't chill. Good Lord.
Well, it's just like you and I have talked about, Doc, how he capped.
Oh my God,
Robbie, we lost you. Can't hear you. We cannot hear you.
No, hear you. Yeah, no, hear you.
There we go. You talk, we don't hear. oh, wait, let him finish. You'll be back, and we'll let him finish his thought.
Robbie's over there talking like Nell.
Yeah.
We just said you're sitting there talking like Nell.
I heard you. I heard you, Doc. I heard you.
While you're gone, we're like, you talk, we can't hear.
Yeah. What you said, like me and you were talking, and it stopped.
I said, like the way he captures the out and back between me and you. We've talked about that before. It's perfect. I mean, we can read what he's wrote on there, and both of us have said it. It's just like our conversation on the show or any other time.
Right.
When I wrote the angry sex with my snowmobile line, I sent that to Doc. I'm like, does this sound like something you'd say?
Yeah, and when y'all if y'all have enjoyed Dark Frontiers 1, just wait until Dark Frontiers 2. I mean, Robbie and I have been reading the excerpts from it that DA's been sending us, and we've literally texted each other back and forth and go, "Oh my God, dude, that's us!" And you're gonna laugh, and it's just, I don't know, man. It's gonna be a good time. Y'all are gonna have a great time reading this book. So,
having a lot of fun writing it.
And for Ken, 30.
I was waiting for that.
Well, if he's in there, he ain't happy.
I'm sorry. Do you understand me? Do you understand sign language?
He's kicking like this. Oh my
That's
God.
a movie that I have probably, no lie, seen about 450 times if I've seen it once.
My kids wore out 3 VHS tapes and 2 DVDs of that movie.
My boys did that with Dodgeball.
Oh,
I think they probably watched Dodgeball about 60 times. That and Mystery Men.
Bubba,
Dodgeball.
this you can flip upside down, walk on your hands. I don't think you're going to make it.
Won't hear about the little engine could. Chugga, 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 chugga.
That movie is so damn funny.
Oh my God. Oh. All right. We can keep on talking. It is now 2 hours and 40 minutes.
All right. Let's start the beginnings of the Ozarks. Good night.
Oh, Lord.
Grab my coat and start heading for the door.
Oh, Lord.
Stop. I can't stop giggling. Yeah, it's either we're idiots. We're all idiots here. That's why we get along well. We found somebody on this.
Anybody want a blind dog?
Everybody wanted a blind dog. Ooh, Lord.
Now Werewolf saying dodging wrenches. There we go. I'm sorry, but Hallmark doesn't make it. And I'm sorry your dodgeball coach was killed by 12 tons of irony card.
Oof. Oh, Lord, I got the vapors up in here.
Vapors. Punch you in shorts says, I love you, idiots.
We love us too. Chester, good Lord, man. You're so nervous.
I can't wait to be around a campfire with you guys. That would be a great time. Yeah, we may not be till next year, but I would love for us to be able to take over a campground somewhere and host a 2, 3, 4-day event, 5-day event where everybody could come and hang out and sit around the campfire and more than just have a dinner and get to talk to somebody and get their autograph like you would at a show. To have real chance to just hang out and interact. Penny Van says, "Oh my God, puppy!"
This is Chester, the nervous dog. He's sitting here shaking like a dog crap in a peach pit. Good Lord.
He seems pretty chill now that you're scratching him.
Oh, dude, he's vibrating. He's like in a whole nother frequency. Good Lord. What, son?
Growing Old with Purposes, if you can get close to Middle Tennessee, we'd be happy to come up. Check out the park near Eva, Tennessee. Nice park. I was thinking about one of the parks in LBL, to be honest, because there's a couple of parks that have cabins right there. And that would be perfect for me because I'm too fat and bad and down in the back to be sleeping on the ground anymore.
Yeah, I ain't sleeping on the ground either. Screw that. I did that enough with the 82nd Airborne.
Yeah, I'll take a big old pass on that. I like my creature comforts now.
That's a hard nope.
But folks, thank you guys for hanging out with us. We had a great time tonight. A reminder again, from the 14th until the 23rd, there won't be any shows unless I get really good internet and I might pop in and do something quick and impromptu. But just count on there not being any shows from July 14th to July 23rd because I'll be in Gatlinburg, Tennessee with my bride of 30 years who's probably not watching and would probably roll her eyes if she heard me say this, but love you, babe, and thank you for 30 years. And
thank you for putting up with me for 30 years.
Thank you for putting up with me for 30 years from putting up with my hijinks and then having 3 kids just like me. Poor woman. But folks, thank you guys for hanging out with us. Again, check out my books over at daroberts.net. And if you'd like to be part of the Patreon community over at patreon.com/DARobertsAuthor, you can help shape the future of the DA verse. You'll get advanced screenings of short stories that aren't released anywhere else. You'll get advanced shots of some of the books as they're being written. You'll get some say-so on cover design. And I've even put in with the Patreon, like, what order should I write the next books in? So they've got a lot of input on the future of the DA verse. So thank you guys. If you guys are already members of the Patreon community, thank you so much, because your support is immeasurable. I appreciate it so much. It helps out so much. And if you're not a member, I would encourage you, because you get a lot of short stories that are available nowhere else. You'll get advanced screenings of stuff long before it sees print. So hope you guys will check that out, and we would love to have you as part of the Patreon community. So thank you guys for hanging out with us. Thank you guys for being part of the DAX Machina universe, the DAX Machination. And thank you guys for taking your Wednesday evening and spending it with us. We have a good time hanging out and chatting, and hope we lift your day a little better than it was. I know Doc was having a crappy day when he got here, but now he's laughing and cutting up with the best of us.
It's a better day already.
And Robbie's keeping Benadryl in his pocket now.
Yeah, Lord have mercy.
But we know secretly the way to get rid of Robbie is now, amoxicillin.
Yeah. I finally have,
folks,
have a weakness.
There we go. Robbie's kryptonite's amoxicillin. We say it many times, and I will always say it. We don't have fans, we have friends. Thank you guys so much for being part of the DAX Machination. This show has always been about us talking about subjects that we enjoy, like cryptids and monsters and even books, and just hanging out and having a good conversation with folks like we would be sitting around a campfire, or sitting around a dining room table or a picnic table, just telling stories and having a good time. It's not about we hope to impart a little bit of knowledge, but at the same time, we also entertain and you guys have a good time hanging out with us. And that's something we hope we always are able to do. We've done it for 201 episodes now, and let's see if we can get to 500, then 1,000, and see where that takes us. But thank you guys so much for making 200 episodes possible. You guys are the best. Thank you guys so much. And a big shout out and thank you to the mods. You guys do an awesome job keeping everything going and flowing. Remember to say a little prayer for Toombs and Nimza, having some medical issues. So keep them in your thoughts. Excuse me, I got the hiccups. Yeah, George says let's make sure the show actually ends tonight. I've been staying on top of that now, and I watched for it. But thank you guys so much. We had such a wonderful time hanging out with y'all. And we'll see you guys on Saturday night. I will have the show up probably tomorrow, maybe Friday at the latest. But I should have the show up and programmed and put out. I just got lazy and didn't get this one up until just a couple hours before the show went out. I kept forgetting to do it. But thank you guys for hanging out with us. Again, check out darkangelmedical.com. Use discount code cryptid25 on your order to get the best med kits out there. I know, because I carried one as a cop. And I wouldn't have trusted my life to any other kid.
And he carries one as a cop right now.
Hell yeah, he does.
Right now.
Right now.
And hey, if y'all would please continue to say a prayer for my daddy-in-law, Mr. Buck. And they moved him to long-term rehab today. They're hoping to get him off the ventilator. There are some small signs of improvement. We got to just check cognitive function. Any kind of neurological deficits, and then say a prayer for my mother-in-law, Miss Dorothy. We like to call her Two Gun Annie. Just say a prayer for Buck and Annie, and we'd appreciate it from here.
Absolutely. And don't forget, if you want a good knife, you can get them at scallywagtactical.com and use discount code DARoberts10, or brockblades.com and just let him know that you heard about brockblades.com from here on DAX Machina for 10% off your order. And while you're at it, check out what's really out there with Robbie Rains and Robbie Rip Rains and a couple other itinerant co-hosts that come in and out. Hope you guys will check them out and give them a like, share, and subscribe. And while you're subscribing to stuff on YouTube, check out Noah's channel over here at youtube.com/@Jorgamunder. When will Blood Eagle be on Audible? I talked to Cam a couple of days ago. He has just been slammed busy with his day job, and he has a very important day job, and that's what pays the bills. So I totally get he's been
Yeah.
working his ass off.
Same reason I haven't done anything for you yet.
And I get it, man. And that's what I tell Cam. Cam apologizes, like, I'm sorry I haven't got this done. And, Carrie, the same way. I'm like, hey, life comes first. I totally get that. What puts biscuits and gravy on the table? It's got to be the priority for you and your family. The audio can come later. Oh yeah, there it is. Link to Jorgamunder. That's up there. And you can find him on youtube.com. It's youtube.com/@Jorgamunder or at kick.com/Jorgamunder. But folks, thank you guys so much. Appreciate all you guys' love and support. And we appreciate each and every one of you guys. And we're so proud to have each and every one of you as a member of the DAX Machina Nation. So thank you guys. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. If you liked that reading from that short story, you can read the entire thing of Demons Part 1 right now over at patreon.com/DA Roberts Author. And I'm hoping to have Demons Part 2 done soon. So look for Dark Frontiers number 2, Howl of the Wolfman, to be out hopefully in the next few weeks. And on its heels will probably be a compilation of short stories, which I haven't titled the compilation yet. So thank you guys so much. Thank you guys for all the love and support. Thank you guys for being with us. And tag DAX Mods Rock. You guys are the best. Thank you guys for everything you guys do. And we will see you guys on Saturday night. Good night, everybody.
Thank you for joining us. Catch us again Wednesdays and Saturdays on DAX Machina. A special thanks to all our channel members and Patreon supporters. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe.